based on my little research when I was watching Brendan Fraser's interviews with the great Bobby
there's
Walken.
no I in the name.
No, it's Fraser. It is pronounced Fraser.
Like razor.
I know,
Fraser.
but I'm having a good time based on
You're
Alicia.
judging? Okay.
Because we've all been saying Alicia wrong. I'm like, maybe we've been fucking this one up too. Okay.
Welcome to 1999, the podcast. I'm John Brooks.
I'm Jenn Tisdale.
What's new, Jen? What's going on?
Golly, what's going on? I not a single thing that I can think of is going on. Murder.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping me in business, everybody.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Keep murdering. So Jen has a job.
Yes, keep uncalm and murder on. I've been falling in love with Peacock lately. I've decided it is the best streamer out of all of them.
I saw that tweet. I'm like, wow, this is a decision.
I know that NBC Universal is struggling, and I would like to do my part to contribute to their waning bank account.
Listen, look, any streamer that has a channel that's just Dateline, I'm like, you got me. That's good. That's if nothing else is on, there's always 24-hour Dateline on Peacock. If nothing else.
If you think I understand how many seasons there are of that show, I write about it every Friday, and sometimes it'll be season like 3 we're revisiting, or sometimes it'll be like it's season 55, and I have yet to
make it up. I don't think that's real. I don't think it's real seasons.
I think they take 3 days off between seasons, and it's it's never ending.
It's like The Voice. There's like 9 seasons a year. I'm like, what are we doing?
We'll never crack that code. It's like professional wrestling, and something Saudi Arabia. I don't know. So
what do seasons even mean? I meant to say I kind of like caught on to something. I don't know if you do this intentionally, but I'm really enjoying the format of your tweets. I never noticed you do this, but it's like you'll do a thesis and then like a little single sentence punctuation at the end, and I really enjoy that. I think I do it. A little postscript.
I think I do it when I say so. Now, do I get engagement? Not really. Sometimes I'll get a tiny bit of engagement. Every once in a while, something will go somewhere, and I'll be like, not this one, not this fucking one.
Bacterial, not viral, but
but I've just, I don't know. I just think people are really losing the plot here.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-mm. Yeah. So but you know what didn't lose the plot?
It kind of does towards the end, but
absolutely not. This is my new favorite movie. I've got nothing bad to say.
I love this movie so much.
I have nothing bad to say.
I texted you and I watched it again last week, and I'm like, I forgot how awesome this movie is. It's really great.
I can't believe. I know I've seen this before, and it did nothing about it stayed in my brain. And I'll tell you what, when Greg and I watched it, we were like, I'd love 4 more hours of this. That's what I said.
I remember. Okay, we'll talk more about this later on. But I also remember,
we have to save it.
We do have to save it. We'll talk about it later. Tonight, we are talking about the 75th highest-grossing movie of 1999, opening number 4 at the box office on Valentine's Day weekend, and going on to take in $40 million worldwide on a $35 million budget. So, squeaked by with a tiny profit. The first of 2, count 'em 2, 1999 collaborations between director Hugh Wilson and star Brendan Fraser, produced for some reason by Rennie Harlan and co-starring, I have no idea what that's all about, and co-starring Alicia Silverstone, Christopher Walken in his greatest performance on film, Sissy Spacek, Dave Foley, Nathan Fillion, Joey Slotnick, and the legendary Jennifer Lewis popping up for her second great comedy of 1999, of course, also playing the shoveler's wife in Mystery Men. On this episode, we are talking about a movie very popular on the Twitter, the first of the Brendan Fraser trilogy of 1999, the BFT, if you will, Blast from the Past.
Yes.
Jen, what's Blast from the Past about?
I think I'm going to start in honor of Alicia Silverstone. I think I'm going to start saying Fraser.
It's okay. So hold on. How does she pronounce? It's Alicia. It's not Alicia.
It is Alicia.
Okay, so let's get this right. Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone and Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. Not sure.
Agree to disagree.
No, that's how he pronounced it.
Brendan Kelsey Grammer. Now, Blast from the Past asks the question, what if Oppenheimer was a little funster?
What if it was
this movie?
What if it was a cute rom-com instead?
Like a fun and flirty Oppenheimer. This movie starts in 1962, and boy, are we getting the full early 1960s via the home decor of wacky scientist, I know, Dr. Calvin Weber,
best.
As John said, played by Christopher Walken, and his wife, Helen, played by Sissy Spacek, in a performance that rivals that of Coal Miner's Daughter. Mm-hmm. He is obsessed with the idea that a nuclear war with the Soviet Union is imminent, and Helen is just pregnant, which means no mommy's little helpers for her, though I bet they were still kicking around. In an effort to keep his family safe, Calvin builds an underground bunker where he and Helen escape on the eve of the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think that's when it is, or the day of, unclear. I believe that's what's happening.
Yep.
When an unrelated plane crash lands on their house, the couple is convinced the war has begun, and faster than you can say back and to the left, they are stuck there for the next 35 years. In that time, she gives birth, and they raise an adult virgin man, played by Brendan Fraser, with a high IQ and virtually no people skills. Couldn't find him. When the doors unlock in 1997, Brenda Fraser braves possible radiation sickness to replenish supplies using baseball cards as currency, and to find a wife in the form of Alicia Silverstone, as if wackiness ensues and is made better by the brilliant performance of Silverstone's gay best friend, played by Dave Foley. And the only question I have is, why is this movie set in 1997 but was released in 1999? Hopefully, we'll find out.
It is weird. It's weird. I don't really. Maybe they were worried about predicting the future. Who knows? Anyways, critics were pretty evenly split on Blast from the Past. It has a rating of 58 on Rotten Tomatoes and right down the middle at 50 on Metacritic. 5 critic scores come in at a 75, its highest overall score, including Roger Ebert, whose review concludes, quote, "The movie is funny and entertaining in all the usual ways, yes, but I was grateful that it tried for more, that it was actually about something, that it had an original premise, that it used satire and irony and sly undercurrents. Even the set decoration is funny. I congratulate who had the idea of putting Reader's Digest condensed books on the shelves of the bomb shelter, the last place on Earth where you'd want to hurry through a book." Most of the Sosa reviews end up comparing Blast from the Past, through no fault of its own, unfavorably to 1998's Pleasantville, but in one of the more outwardly negative reviews, Keith Phipps in the AV Club wrote, quote, "The first 20 minutes of Blast from the Past, in which the film actually does something with its central concept, aren't that bad. Christopher Walken and Sissy Spacek are amusing as Fraser's parents, and some of the contrasts between their time capsule-like existence and the world above them register a bit. But once Fraser reaches the surface and begins romancing the pouty, charmless Silverstone, all that falls by the wayside. It would essentially be the same movie if Fraser were from another planet, which says something about the complexity of Blast from the Past's social satire. Blast from the Past does, in a strange twist, guarantee its own place in a time capsule. A scene set in something called the Club 40s assures that it will someday be included in a Films of the Swing revival retrospective."
Oh my God. What is the soothsayer who wrote this?
And there is so much squirrel nut zippers in this movie. It is almost hard to believe.
God, these daddies got to go pop some cherries. And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. Yep. This and Swingers are the two movies that go in that time capsule. And maybe there's others that I've forgotten about, but I
feel like there must have been more. It felt so prevalent. It could not have just been like bowling shirts as far as the eye could see. Like, really? I felt like there must have been more.
It felt like whoever wrote this thought, well, this swing revival thing's going to go on forever. So,
and I wish it had.
Anyhow, we're going to talk all about it today. Who is our guest? Jennifer.
Our guest was born as the second child of 2 biological human beings. He has always lived in one of the United States. He had allergies to latex and jicama. Actually, he has them. And he was also on Freaks and Geeks. Please welcome A blast from my friendship past, Mr. Samm Levine.
Hello, Sam.
It's you, it's me, it's us. We did it.
It's us. And it's John. You're here too.
I can leave if you guys just.
This actually makes sense because Challengers came out today. It's a big 3 people themed weekend. Okay, we did it.
Famously, this podcast just like Challengers. Yeah,
it's me, Zendaya. I know you were like, Jen, you look different.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what that movie's about, but it's about like sex things, right? And like tennis.
There's like an injury. I don't know. I think I want to see it, but I don't know if I'm prepared for that level of horniness.
I know.
I apologize for the halo effect above me.
You're fine.
Because you said this, we're not really using the video.
Nah.
It's easier
Look at me
to do this from my office, which has this horrible thing. Otherwise, I got to go to a different room. And
why would we subject the internet to us like this? I mean, we have given
I would obviously I would shower if I thought. Sorry about all my books. I'm a reader. So embarrassed. So embarrassed. Like, oh God, okay. I'm even making you read my shirt. Like, stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Sam, it's so good to see you. I cannot recall the last time. Was it 100 years ago? Doesn't matter.
It's been 100 years.
It's been 500.
No, do you remember for real the last time?
The last time we actually saw each other, like in person?
I have a very bad memory. Was it
probably 2016?
Oh
no,
pre-COVID.
Was it
either 2016 or 2017? Now we've spoken many times between.
Sam is one of the, I don't know, handful of to 20 people that's heard me cry. So it's, an ever-growing list of people that's just heard me feel so sad.
I figure that's how you choose your friends.
That is, and I think
you have a conversation with a stranger, you start crying, you see if they can hang, and you're like, oh.
It really was a very unhealthy way of like testing people that I'm proud to say I no longer engage in that kind of behavior. And Sam, this is not about us and our friendship, but I am dating a cute person now. It's been so long. I have a boyfriend. I'm in love.
Oh, that's wonderful. Mazel tov.
He's so smart and funny and cute, but that's not why we're here. We're talking about another cute, smart, funny man, and his name is Brendan Fraser. Sorry.
That is how he pronounces it in his native Ottawa.
That is what I thought because, it's
not even native.
Trying to go off the Alicia.
No, he's not even native.
No, true. I think he was born in the States, but then bounced around and spent a lot of time in Ottawa, but is not officially Canadian.
As Dudley Do-Right or beyond that?
I think just slightly beyond the Dudley Do-Right of it all.
I think he identifies with the better country, so like that, that's his right.
Yeah. He identifies as someone with free healthcare.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd love to have that right now. I don't want to get into it, but I am falling apart. I couldn't be less. My body is ding dings. Pulled the ripcord. It's out.
Same.
Yeah,
it's on its way.
All I'm saying is Logan's Run was onto something. That's all I'm saying.
I have a question for you. Have you ever met Brendan Fraser?
I have, actually.
In your travels, you have.
On more than one occasion.
Is he nice in real life?
He's lovely.
I bet he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I watched a bunch of interviews, and he did talk about how important manners are to him. And I said, okay, Emily Post, but it seemed genuine. Is that the oldest reference? Who in the hell listening to this podcast even knows what the fuck I'm talking about?
I'm quite certain you've got some people who are familiar with Emily Post.
I want to believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, on to this motion picture, which I have deemed honestly in my top 5. In my top 5. I love this movie. It sucks when there's a movie I don't get to make fun of on this podcast because I have no negative notes except, maybe more Dave Foley.
More gay Dave Foley.
More gay Dave Foley. Sam,
I have a couple negative notes. Maybe I'll be in the minority here. I texted you saying how much I love it, so I love it, and I love it. But I'm not without reservation. I'm going to be the Debbie Downer. Sam, this is your favorite movie of all time. I understand. That's what Jennifer.
I didn't say that. I said you chose this one.
Loves the fuck out of it.
It is my favorite film. I have tattoos of the dialogue all over my body, like Memento style.
Oh my god, he really does. I can see it right now. It's too bad this is not a video format because you guys would be blown away by his.
What is it? Leave the elevator alone.
Yeah,
it just says leave the elevator alone.
Mm-hmm.
It just says a duck walks into a bar.
Honestly, I loved that joke. As someone who is obsessed with puns, I couldn't possibly get enough. I went, oh boy.
I think this movie has it's near the peak, if not the peak, of Christopher Walken leaning into his Christopher Walken-ness.
That's one of my notes.
Yeah.
It's a note I had.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, like, it's because this was, so I was like, this is maybe the first time that I can remember of Christopher Walken, like, doing the Christopher Walken parody of himself, right? Yeah. Where he has those two modes where it's like Christopher Walken actor and Christopher Walken doing a Christopher Walken impression and being very funny about it. And this, I was like, speaking of blast from the past, I suddenly had this visceral memory of like, oh, right, 1998, 1999, 2000. This is when every 20-something dude I knew would like have 2 beers and be like, and start doing the fucking Jay Moore version of Christopher Walken.
I mean, if I had to pick I don't want to do a tangent, but I'd love to just talk about Jay Moore's Andrew McCartney impression if I could. Like, if I had to like land on a Jay Moore greatest hits of impressions, it's gonna be that. I do.
Not Walken.
So sorry. We're not gonna skew, but I love to skew, and if we're gonna skew into this, but and it's Jay Moore's impression.
You see with the Wayne's World what she did there.
I did see. I saw your brief clap. I do find it interesting that this is the same year that he did Sleepy Hollow. Like there couldn't be.
Of course. Yeah.
He doesn't even get to speak in that movie. He's just starring those teeth. But what a crazy year for Christopher Walken. And then before that, it was The Prophecy. Is that the movie with Eric Stoltz?
And Viggo Mortensen as Satan. Yes, right. It is a great fucking movie.
The only thing I remember about that motion picture is they dyed Christopher Walken's hair like jet black, and I couldn't. Jet black. Like, this feels incorrect.
He played Gabriel, the Archangel.
That's right.
Yeah. So heck of a year for him. And I do want to say, I just want to I want to talk about the physical comedy. I'm so bad at jumping into these movies, but I was struck by Sissy Spacek and her physicality in this movie.
Yeah.
What a treat this was. And you guys, does anyone off the top of her head know like every Sissy Spacek movie in a row? Because I'm trying to picture when she was comedic. This couldn't have been the first time. Does anyone? I mean, obviously Carrie was hilarious. I think we can all agree.
Yeah. But, I mean, she's pretty hysterical in Coal Miner's Daughter.
Yes.
That's
people forget about the 10-minute stand-up set she does right in the middle of that movie.
That's actually then they got Punchline. That was the inspiration for the Tom Hanks, Sally Fields. We were like, hold on.
Was the 10-minute set that she does as Loretta Lynn?
Not a lot of people know that. It was a backdoor pilot for that motion picture.
Right. Wow. I did not know that. Makes sense now.
That's why you're on this movie podcast. Yeah, she went from, I'm looking at it, it's nothing funny, I swear to God, unless I'm missing something. Is The Man with Two Brains funny? That has to be.
Actually, it's very funny. That's Steve Martin. Come on.
Oh, God. Is that the one where he's
got the head in a jar? Yeah, and it's
the talking.
Turner is the voice of the brain.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, then, that's funny, but that was 16 years ago.
She's not the voice of the brain. I forget who the voice is. She's the body. Sorry, go on.
No, it's fine. I'm having I can see it so clearly in my head. And I actually just referenced All of Me today. Speaking of Steve Martin's wacky movies. Guys, this is no longer about Blast from the Past. It's about every movie but. So Sissy Spacek was, her and Dave Foley's performances were my favorite.
They are
in this
for
movie.
Sure standout, solid supporting performances, as was Chris Walken, of course, although I would say veers closer to, lead, maybe right under the Fraser of it all. But no, you're absolutely right. Sissy Spacek is flat out hysterical. She has one of my favorite all-time like jump takes when she's sitting at the table in the bunker, and he just and Walken just pops his head through the window, and she's got a glass in her hand. I mean, it is so easy. It's so easy to make that look like a dumb 90s sitcom, like a teenage sitcom, like a wah! But she absolutely fucking sells it. She owns it. It is as authentic a jump scare laugh as you can get.
I wonder. I didn't come across this in any research. I have to assume, unless it's just like immaculate writing, that some of Christopher Walken's lines were improvised. Right? Like, there's just too many moments where I'm like, this is fucking like, because when she is like, all of our friends, and he goes, burnt to a crisp, and then he's like,
I'm gonna be honest with like, you. I've never thought of Walken as a guy who comfortably improvises. I think
he is.
Guy.
I don't know. I know that is it Hugh Wilson? Am I getting this right? The creator of WKRP in Cincinnati. When I was watching interviews with my favorite film critic, Bobby Wygan, bring Bobby. I miss Bobby. Do you know this like sweet little old woman? She did interviews in the 90s. If you watch her, she's absolutely delightful. Well, she interviewed almost everybody. And I know that she asked Dave Foley. She's like, Dave Foley, you're an improviser. Were you able to improvise on this? I'm so sorry to my boyfriend who hates the Southern accent. Were you able to improvise on this movie? And he was like, I mean, I got to do a fair amount of improvising. So I don't know, maybe somebody wound up Christopher Walken and let him just...
I would hope so. I'm sure he's
getting around.
Well, there it is. I'm sure he's got, funny stuff, but I don't know. And I have nothing to base it on other than just a gut instinct that Walken strikes me as no, it's on the script. I'll do what's in the script.
Hey, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah,
oh, stop.
I mean, the hot Dr. Pepper thing just feels like such a like on the spot joke that they kind of then went with. And I can't imagine someone actually writing that, but
that's mentioned before we even see him do it.
True. That's right.
So
right.
disgusting.
Yeah. Either way, he's very good at like making things seem like they're improvised, which is itself quite a comedic talent.
Yeah. I will say the casting is brilliant in the film across the board.
Oh, yes. Yes. And again, I know we're bouncing everywhere. I do want to just hold space, as the wellness community would say, for Joey Slotnick, who every second of screen time, chew, loved it. An incredible
It is incredible.
performance.
It is an incredible performance. I mean, you think about the changes that his character goes through from the first time we see him behind the counter at Mom's Diner.
Yes.
That guy with that grin, hey, $1.15 an hour or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Scobie goes the journey he goes on, we see him at his absolute craziest, his cultiest craziest, and then at the end of the movie, he's a businessman.
Yep. That felt improvised. What his felt improvised, because I was watching Alicia Silverstone's reaction while he's like pointing to things on the plans, and she's trying not to laugh. And I said, I agree. No. I was like, I get it. Now, guys, what was your favorite iteration of the drugstore / soda? Yeah, what was your or Slotnick or just the vibe, the bar?
I've got mine, but Sam, go ahead.
Oh wow, I would say probably when right when Mom says, "That's it, I'm done with this place." I'm saying to you, like,
and
it's a dump,
free of charge. And I think that's the woman from True Blood. And I think I'm just going to be alone in this. Sam, you don't look like a True Blood watcher, John. I don't know where you are.
I'm not.
Don't worry about it. The fans will know.
Yeah,
that was incredible. And they did a really good job. This is going to sound like a strange thing to notice, but I really felt like they did a good job with the decades they were representing from this one set piece. I was like, yeah, that was a bar I probably went to in the 90s. And no, I wasn't alive in the 60s, but that is what I've been fed by other movies.
So then you're applauding the set design, production designer, and props department.
Oh God.
And
that's me. That's me. I like to shout out everybody. I like to shout out all the work. I proudly supported the strikes from here. That's me.
Well, so my favorite Slotnick moment, and it's also one of my favorite moments in the entire movie. I just rewatched it this morning, and I was like, I just laugh out loud every time. It's the 70s, and it's where he's in the bar, and Barry White comes on, and he's like, I don't know if I like this music, and then he's kind of mad about it, and then everybody's like kind of confused, and then Barry White comes in like, my darling, and he's doing this. Jamming out to it, it's all in the 70s groove, and I was like, oh, that's yeah. We've now covered the entire 99 Joey Slotnick canon because he was also, of course, in Idle Hands, and now we're done with Joey Slotnick after tonight. But
we're never done with
our hearts.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's in the Ethan Coen movie Drive Away Dolls or whatever that I'm going to be watching on my new favorite streamer. I think it's on Peacock. I'm so sorry. I'm obsessed with Peacock. This is now a podcast exclusively about the content on Peacock. I apologize.
We need to get sponsored by Peacock because we're just going to give them free advertising. Apparently,
if only. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we're jumping around. I suppose we should start sort of from the beginning of this motion picture, which is
before we do that, real quick, I want to ask Sam, like, what is it about this? So nobody else was like, I want to talk about Blast from the Past. I'd basically forgotten about this movie. Yeah. Jen and I were both saying before you came on that we both had seen it before, but like had no memory of how great it was. So what is it with you in this movie? What do you?
I will not lie to you. Jen sent me a list of like maybe 15 or so movies, and I was loosely familiar with most of them, but then the only one that I felt comfortable that I could speak with any sort of confidence on was Blast from the Past. And also, when she sent me that list some time ago now, you'd think it's that was a while ago.
It was a while.
It was a while ago. Sorry, I don't mean to pull the curtain back. It was a while ago. Anyway, you'd think at some point between then and now, I would have rewatched the film in anticipation of recording this. Yeah, but. And I'm sorry, John. I got to pull the curtain back. I didn't realize we'd be doing this until fairly recently.
That is true.
And I did not have time to rewatch it, and that's fine because I was with my wife earlier today. We're out running errands, and she was like, "Wait, tell me about this podcast you're doing later." And I said, "Oh, we're going to talk about Blast from the Past." And she's like, "Oh, have you seen it recently?" And I said, "No." And she said, "When's the last time you've seen it?" And I said,
1999.
I think it's been a good 5 or 6 years minimum. I said, and she was like, "Do you want to try to rewatch it?" I was like, "I don't know if I'll have time." And I said, "You know what? It'll be a fun memory test." And so then I tried describing the movie sort of beat by beat to her. She knew the movie loosely, but I was like, "No, we're out running errands today." And I was describing the movie beat by beat as best I could remember to my wife. And I am happy to say this one has really stuck with me as it turned out. Like I remember a lot of very specific things about this film. And I'm pleased about it because I think it is a memorable film. I think it's a really funny late 90s film that captures a lot of what the late 90s were about. I mean, I know I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I was describing to her the whole dance sequence in the middle of the movie. And I was like, but what you have to remember, honey, was in the mid to late 90s, hip America had a massive boner for throwback big band swing dancing and so big band bands. Yeah. Like this was the swingers, and this I would say peak of but can you big band dance like people did 50 years ago? You square?
Yeah.
You bet he can.
Grab your bowling shirt. We're going to the Dresden. Okay.
And you spin Heather Graham around like they did in the whatever year the swing
96.
Was that the 20s? The 30s? When was swing?
I'm gonna
Swingers
say
was 1996.
yes.
No, but okay. Before
what year
that,
was it supposed to be?
When was the first swing? When was the original swing?
Actual swing dancing? The 40s.
Yeah.
The 1940s?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say, because any World War II movie, you're going to, not any, but most World War II movies, you're going to get some swing-a-ding-ding.
Yeah.
Don't
you remember
for our
Swing
boys?
Kids?
Oh, Swing Kids. Sure. World War II Nazis. We got it now.
Oh, no, the Holocaust. Oh, they're killing all the Jews. Oh, but hey, they can't take away our dance music.
And that's what we're going to protest.
That's
dance.
And that's Robert Sean Leonard in that movie?
That is Robert Sean Leonard.
Is it Christian Bale?
No Bale in that. You're thinking of Newsies.
I thought he was in Swing Kids.
No, Bale is not in Swing Kids. Frank Whaley is in Swing Kids.
Oh my God! Is that Swimming with Sharks, guys?
That is Frank Whaley. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Swing Kids. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm looking at this now. Oh boy, these kids were swinging.
They really were. They were swinging kids.
I actually think. Okay, wait. I'm looking at this now, and guess who I'm seeing? I believe that's Christian Bale.
I don't know.
That's Christian Bale. That is Christian. I was right.
Boy, I'm glad we're not talking about that movie because clearly I don't remember it as well as I remember Blast from the Past.
Second build before Frank Whaley is Christian Bale. Barbara Hershey.
I will issue a mea culpa. My sincere apologies to the group, to the listeners, to my family and my God. Swing Kids is a film I've not rewatched in 25 years since I've seen it.
You be careful because Christian Bale will come for you. We don't know what accent he'll have. We don't know.
In the wee hours of the mid-aughts, I definitely watched Blast from the Past.
There you go.
I would argue that the resurgence of swing happened with Who Framed Roger Rabbit and those weasels, but maybe I'm misremembering.
That's a good place to guess.
I mean, it's a good place to guess, but the problem is that was a period film. So that was contemporary music in the film as opposed to 1996's Swingers.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, gave us Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Cherry Poppin' Daddies, baby.
But Big Bad Voodoo Daddy... Big Bad Voodoo Daddy predated. So this is like, it started as sort of a subculture in LA, right? In like the early 90s. And then Swingers kind of took that subculture and made a rom-com about it. And then the whole nation was, wanted to learn how to swing dance for 10 minutes. And then that was it, right? Like
it's very dangerous is the problem.
Yeah.
People get hurt.
They've caused like so many Zoot Suit riots. It's kind of.
I'll never forget the Zoot Suit riots of 1998.
No, and nor should you. I can't even go on Getty and plug that into the search because like those images haunting.
They're haunting. They are haunting images. Can we just have 5 seconds of silence for everyone we lost in the Zoot Suit riots? Okay, thank you so much.
I felt really good. I felt really good about that.
I mean, look, and I don't want to get into it, but I have been to the memorial, the giant wingtip shoe, and the bowler hat memorial.
I'm probably never going to have another opportunity the rest of my life to do this bit, so I'm going to do it now, completely off topic. Well, not completely. My father, the first time he heard that song on the radio, he thought they were saying Zoot Suit Ryan, like a man's name Ryan. And so as a teenager, I used to mock my father mercilessly, and I actually turned this into a bit I used to do on stage as a kid. And I would say, but can you imagine if there was a guy who called himself Zoot Suit Ryan and he used to advertise on local TV? Yeah, come on down to Zoot Suit Ryan's. I'm Zoot Suit Ryan. I got all your Zoot Suit needs covered. Come on, we got big Zoot Suits, tiny Zoot Suits. We got flashy Zoot Suits. We got humble Zoot Suits. We got striped Zoot Suits, polka dot Zoot Suits. Where else are you going to find this kind of selection of Zoot Suits? Nobody. Me, Zoot Suit Ryan. Come on down to Zoot Suit Ryan. It was.
I'm gonna.
We murdered her.
Jen is down. Jen is down.
Oh my God! But I do want that in a movie.
We need that, right?
Oh my God!
Yes.
Zoot Suit Ryan. Your poor father just being like, who is Zoot Suit Ryan? Looking off into the middle distance. I'd love to know his story.
I said a wrong thing one time. My kid's been torturing me for 25 fucking years. What an asshole.
Oh. So, Sam, off the top of your head, we could only think of both of these films that had this kind of both swingers.
Swing dancing, yeah.
That was it. This is the only time, even though it felt
I'm sure
everywhere.
there was more. I don't know. I mean, so
I can't remember.
No, that's ska. I was going to say in Clueless, they go to see.
They were like kissing cousins, I think, like the ska and then the resurgence of, because the horn crossover can't be ignored.
You cannot ignore those horns.
I mean, but it felt like it was everywhere.
It did feel like it was everywhere
because of the bands.
Right, but also I was a teenager in the mid-90s and went to a plethora of bar and bat mitzvahs and sweet 16s.
You don't say.
I do say. And I will tell you the amount of big band music and terrible, terrible, terrible teenage attempts at swing dancing that happened at these bar and bat mitzvahs. Benai mitzvahs, if you will. That's the plural.
Oh, I thought you were saying if you wanted to do both, it's a bai mitzvah.
No, benai. B apostrophe N-A-I. Benai mitzvah.
I thought you said bai mitzvah. And I'm like, oh, that's when you do both parties. I'm so sorry. It sounded like I'm being disrespectful. I'm not.
It's okay.
I'm your father now. I'm your father. Come on down to the bai mitzvah. No, don't do that, Jen. Don't do that. Cut that part. I don't get to say go. But anyway,
so I remember it being very present, but perhaps it's only because I was hearing it every weekend at some 13-year-old's party in and around the tri-state area.
And they had actual big bands? God, I'm very envious.
They had DJs that played big band music. There was a very popular medley of like big band music of songs that I hated because I knew all the songs and their full length, and it was like an upbeat, horrible 90s remix of Glenn Miller. No, Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman and Count Basie stuff that was all great on its own, but then they cut it together and I didn't care for it. Yeah. I think Put on the Ritz is a little earlier.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I forgot Christian Bale was in Swing King.
Voodoo Daddy played a concert at my college in 1999, and I went to it. And I think this is when I realized, like, oh, this really can't go anywhere, was when everybody there, like, it's a big crowded, like, gymnasium, whatever, auditorium full of college kids. And it's like, well, you can't mosh to this. Like, what do? You have to swing dance to this. I'm in a crowd full of people. I don't know how. Nobody does. And like, how do I enjoy this music in this setting? And that's when I was like, this fad's not going to last very long because it hit a wall, right? Unless you have a bunch of people who know how to swing dance at the Dresden in Los Angeles. Not
a lot of room to do it there, but yes.
No. We all love swingers and we all love the music, but like, we can't do anything with it. So this is not going to make it to the 21st century. Let's say that. But we are due in like 20 years for another swing revival. If it's every 50 years or so, it seems like.
But in that time, it's not going to be a proper swing revival. It'll be a swing revival of the late 90s swing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be like
it's a copy of a copy.
It's multiplicity. Which one was the third Michael Keaton? Right. When we get to that fourth one, that's when things start to get done.
A guy named Zoot Suit Ryan will hear the album and be like, my God, I know what my calling is now.
You're talking about me.
Zoot Suit Ryan.
Okay, we should talk about the movie instead of swing music.
Oh, there's a movie we're here to talk about. I'm so sorry.
We've been.
No, I love it. I wrote so many notes about the swing music and the squirrel nut zippers, and I'm like, whatever. Like, I knew this was going to take up a lot of this episode, so that is quite all right.
We haven't even talked about that scene, so when we get to that scene, we get to go back into it. So,
guys, wait till we get to the squirrel nut zippers scene. It's going to be great. We'll talk about it for another half an hour.
Great.
Okay. Blast from the Past opens. No,
yeah, so
the Cuban Missile Crisis, a house that was ripped from the pages of a Sears catalog. I was thrilled to the gills to see all that decor. It felt fake, except I know it's not. I do think it really obviously did look like that in the 60s. It wasn't just like some sort of like weird, steroid version of it. I do think it was just that insane. And then I think how did we learn about the way that it was built, this bunker? So we quickly move into the bunker, which was thrilling. And occasionally Christopher Walken's character hired contractors. But I gotta say, the size and scale of that bunker, it must have taken so long to build it. So long.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. And then I felt a little sorry for Sissy Spacek because that woman moves like twice in this motion picture. And every time she gets into a new house, it just looks like the first one. She can't escape. She can't escape that decor. Let this woman live.
But I feel like that's, a testament to being a 60s housewife.
Yeah. That's
like
true.
It doesn't matter what the house is. Her life is always the same, no matter where they are.
Yeah.
True. Maybe it's the message within the message.
Oh God. I turned to Greg and I said, this would have been such a nightmarish like COVID watch. I would have lost my mind if I
Oh my God.
To put this on during COVID, maybe somehow not remembering even though it's literally the plot. And then I'd have to sit through what we decided was a little too long in the bunker. I could have had a little more of the fish out of water with Frassier and Alicia and Dave Foley, and like maybe less of watching 3 different versions of his character, like learn languages.
You know what? Blast from the past walked so poor things could run.
Okay. Now, I don't want to jump, but we should get into how weird and gross it is that Alicia. Can I just say Alicia? My mouth doesn't want to say Alicia, but I know that's what it is.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I heard her pronounce it on Instagram recently. She goes, people have been getting my name wrong for years, and then she said it, and I went, oh man, this is like when I think maybe Dan Carlin or the other guy says it's Genghis Khan. And I'm like, well, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're not
Everyone has said GIF for
25 years.
It's too late. Genghis? What am I, pulling a piece out of the middle and hoping he doesn't collapse? This is crazy. Genghis Khan. That's the Khan. Now.
Yeah.
It should be a game. Jenga's Khan, C-O-N.
Yes.
And it's a game where somebody does knock the Jenga tower over, and then they have to get everyone else at the game to believe it wasn't them. The Khan is on.
The wrath of Genghis Khan. Now, okay. So I guess we're hopping. I mean, what can we say about where they're raising this child? 14 different actors in this bunker.
Listen,
I don't care.
I don't disagree with you, but all of it was great, right? Like the first half hour of this movie is like a different movie from the other 60 minutes of it. Mm-hmm. And I love the movie that is the first half hour of this movie, mostly because it's like my favorite Christopher Walken comedy ever. And everything about it hits. I agree. It's sort of like, wow, that was a long time to spend before getting to the part where it's like Alicia Silverstone is in it and it's a romantic comedy, right? Like that seems like a lot of a setup, but it's such a good half hour that I just enjoy it. I enjoy it very, very much.
Something that I was thinking of, and I'm not a doctor, this is how you're both finding out, is would Brendan Fraser have like eyes of like a little mole person? He's born underground. He's raised underground for 35 years of his life. He's never seen the sun. Thankfully, he arrives in darkness. But still, or does he? Is it light when it doesn't remind? And all I can think of, it is daytime when he steps outside because he almost immediately looks directly at the sun. That's right. And all I could think of was those eyes aren't ready for that. This is a mole person. He's been underground for 35 years. Now I know that that's a silly thing. Jeff, is this what you're latching onto? This medical science behind it? And the answer is yes. I am a little like, what is that? What would your eyes be like?
Now, you just watched it today, John. I can't remember, but I vaguely remember, like, I think they go out of their way to make him more pale than everyone.
Is that fair?
I noticed that. Now, I feel like they would have all been fairly pale by the end because of not being in the sun. But he's like, having never seen the sun, we're talking like, running through a field powder style is what, is what that was.
Running through a field powder. I don't think that means the same thing that you think it means anymore. With the historical context of that film.
Look it up. Look it up.
Guys,
Google it. You're in for a treat.
I love that movie.
Of course you do.
Oh, no. show some respect for young Indiana Jones. Now go on.
Of course, nothing bad to say about the actor. But what was I going to say? Oh yes, I think I remember the pale thing because I remember looking at him, and I feel like at one point I maybe watched that movie with a friend or a girlfriend or something, and someone even said like, "Oh, they made him pale," and I remember either saying or at least thinking, "No, that's about how I look. He's fine. He's healthy."
Canadian.
And then there was a record scratch moment as everyone looks at your skin with horror.
No! Oh, I do look like powder.
Sam's a mole person. Well,
yeah.
This is how we find out. I am as well. So I guess, again, I know we're not here to nitpick the science because top to bottom there'd be a lot of problems, but I do think those eyes would be on fire.
Yeah, look, the whole thing, like some of the criticism from some of those critics about it being like the satire not work, whatever. Like I think a lot of people, the Pleasantville thing, I think kind of skewed the way people looked at this movie because Pleasantville is obviously a very like clever satire. There's a lot of like similar aesthetic to Pleasantville, a lot of similar themes to Pleasantville. This is not Pleasantville. This is a farce. Like, we're not supposed to take seriously the fact that he was in a bunker for 35 years. Right. That would be impossible. Those two would murder each other. Like, there is like, of course, that's not a thing that would happen. It's to set up a very funny gag without having to use time travel or space travel. And it's funny because it hasn't really been done before and also fits in nicely with like the 1999 Y2K world's about to end, get in a bunker mentality of that era. But the reason they fast forwarded through everything in 30 minutes and made it very, very funny that he doesn't understand baseball and that when he's like,
I mean, can I say something? I don't understand baseball. I think you're a baseball. You're a baseball fan. You're a big baseball fan.
I'm a nut.
I love baseball.
I don't understand. I have tried so hard so many times in my life, and my brain is like, "This is not for you," and that's okay. And then I fold it up and I put it to the side. So if I was
origami.
So wait, does that mean that as you were, are you such a fan, Sam, that when Brendan Fraser was pulling out all these fancy baseball cards that you recognized their value?
Each and every one of them. I mean, I didn't recognize like a dollar amount value, but I was like, "Ooh, those are very nice cards."
It's like a Mickey Mantle rookie card. Like you understand who Mickey Mantle is, right? Like that's not too far.
That, but there was another name. I was like, I don't know.
Okay,
Rogers Hornsby. I think there's a Rogers Hornsby reference in there.
Hornsby.
Any relation to Bruce?
No.
To Bruce Hornsby?
No, but Rogers Hornsby is referenced in A League of Their Own.
Okay.
That is true.
It's in the There's No Crying in Baseball speech. It's
a movie that Bruce Hornsby has probably seen. Yeah. So there you go. That's where you get the connection.
That's the way it is, I say. But
that's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
I will say that based on my little research when I was watching Brendan Fraser's interviews with the great Bobby
there's no I in the name.
No, it's Fraser. It is pronounced Fraser.
Like razor.
I know, but I'm having a good time based on
You're judging?
Okay. Because we've all been saying Alicia wrong. I'm like, maybe we've been fucking this one up too. Okay. When asked about this movie, what he thinks it's about, he said that it, and I quote, "Blast from the past underlines a favorite notion of mine." And he's doing it in that very quiet, nice voice of his that he has, that we are at our best when we endeavor to make those around us as comfortable as possible. Careful, you could slip slide into codependency with that one, but okay. And then he says, "It's my understanding, and certainly our directors as well, that's what constitutes a gentleman." So Brendan Fraser, I'll say Fraser. Fraser is like the driving force for him is that this movie is all about being polite. Because Bobby also said to him, "You're perfect for this role because you are a very polite man. You're just a very polite man." And so I find that interesting that that's what he pulls from this movie is be nice, make others around you feel comfortable. Which
here's a question. Here's a question that I bet we could find online. It just occurred to me that Dave Foley, the great Dave Foley, is in this film with Brendan Fraser. But also, some years earlier, when the Kids in the Hall made their one and only feature film, Brain Candy, who but whom has a cameo in that film, one Brendan Fraser.
Wait, he does? Brendan Fraser's in Brain Candy?
I think it's an uncredited cameo. Yeah, when they're giving out the pills and the drug test, and he's like, "This is a sugar pill, isn't it? Just take the pill." "No, it's a sugar pill." The skin's all broken out. Just say it's a sugar pill. Or like something like that.
It is. I'm looking at it. Oh my God.
So obviously they've known each other for some time. Ooh, the Canada connection, maybe.
Yeah, then that was 3 years prior.
There's only like 9 people in Canada, so that makes sense.
So I wonder then if it is just, as they say, a coincidence that the two of them are in this film, or if one of them being in it had something to do with the other being in it.
I bet it. I bet it did. And then you have very, 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 very young, fresh-ish off of Clueless, Alicia Silverstone, who was probably in her early 20s at the most during this movie. Although maybe Brendan Fraser was also in his mid-20s.
I don't think so. No,
was she like 17 in Clueless?
She was born in 77.
Fraser's born in the 60s for sure. Maybe 68, 69?
69, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if she was born in 77, that makes her deuce 22, a baby. Your brain is you have a baby brain at 22.
Wow.
I have a baby brain now. But yeah, so she was quite young. And now her reason for liking this motion picture does denote that of a 22-year-old answering this question. And she said something about liking the way that she says, when asked what she thinks the message of this movie is, she said that you can have a really, and I quote, loving romantic relationship that can last forever. Somewhere out there is the kind of man that really is confident, is a true sexy man because of who he is, not because of what he's trying to be or what he thinks is cool. I don't know. I didn't get that from that motion picture at all.
So do you have that kind of information on every film that you talk about? And by that, I specifically mean what the main actors think the meaning of the film is?
No, I don't. When I look that some movies have more like other like people wrote about it. They did some interviews years later.
Okay.
I like to find the interviews they do at the time for press for the movie. I like watching them answer those questions and be a little ridiculous. Sometimes, again, if for like more important films, there'll be all sorts of like looking back 25 years ago and you'll get all these interesting bits. I did find something that has some like little tidbits about it, which I could pepper throughout, but I do like hearing their little thoughts at the time.
Okay. Noted.
Why? Do you not like that?
Oh no, I think it's fascinating, but I just feel like there are so many actors who wouldn't have an answer to a question like, "What do you think's the meaning behind this film?" or "What's the lesson in the film?" Something like that. And I just feel like a lot of actors would want to say something like, "I don't think there's a lesson here. It's 90 minutes of entertainment."
Yeah, I think this is. Well, you're right. This is a weird movie to ask that question about. This is a very strange movie to apply a larger meaning to. Like, let's have some fun.
I think a lot of it has to do with the context of, again, the year that it came out, though. I don't think anybody would ask that question were it not for the fact that this movie seems like a Y2K metaphor. You know what I mean?
Wait.
That like there's something.
I'm sorry. I did just read something shocking. Now I want to be clear.
I was like, what happened?
This random website where I found all these bits and bobs, there's no source for it. It would be a weird thing to get down on and be like, I'm going to make up a bunch of shit about Blast from the Past. According to this Tumblr page, let me which is
off to a great start. Yeah.
Full of Blast from the Past fun facts.
Yep.
This movie was in development for 2 decades.
I don't.
Well, they're in the bunker all that time, of course.
I mean, I guess the Cold War was a long time, but
like for 20 years. So in the 70s, when this movie started to get kicked around,
they were like, "What if a guy in the 60s was in a bunker for 10 years?"
I mean, I bet they popped it back to World War II for that.
Yeah, it would have had to have been
during the atom bomb. Yeah. So they had to switch it from the atom bomb to having a crazy fear of the Cuban Missile Crisis, which I don't get, because at one point Christopher Walken shouts out, "They're probably already in Key West," and I was like, "Well, you're in California, you'll be okay. Key West is very far."
So what you're saying is it went from a movie being about the atom bomb to a movie about Adam and Eve.
Adam,
boom, Adam, boom. Boom, mic drop.
I couldn't, and not one, and I like how they didn't even say anything about that. They just did, like, his was explained.
Oh, they do at the yeah.
Yes, but
I think
with
one
her,
guy
just
says something. I think it's on this one. I'm not 100%. I think it's the guy who he's trying to sell the baseball cards to originally, and she like quits her job because she's like, you're a scumbag. Keep the cards. And then the guy, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm Adam, by the way." He's like, "Oh, perfect, Adam and Eve. You're great for each other." I think that's the scene.
I do want to talk about how unlikable Alicia Silverstone is. There's not a single scene where I like this person at all.
Wow.
Okay.
No,
I like. I don't know. Or is that? This is not me saying.
No, it's fine. Here's what I remember. This is at least the second film that she's in. No, third film that she's in where, and I mean, I guess this is sort of this is not really on her. This is really an indictment of rom-coms of the era. But it's like, oh no, that character you've known the entire movie. This is the point in the movie where you realize you're in love with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she has that in Clueless. She has that in Excess Baggage. She has that.
Oh, I love that movie. I love that movie. Now they didn't make her have that. Now that didn't happen in Crush. The Crush.
No, it did not. She knew right away she was in love
with Carrie Elwes. Carrie Elwes did look at this 14-year-old child and go, "Well, now hold on, this is a gal for me."
Can I want to ask you this, guys, because this is something that I keep sort of mulling over in the last 2 times that I've watched it in the last 2 weeks. Their chemistry is weird. I don't think it doesn't exist. I think they actually have really good on-screen chemistry. Like, I like when they're together and there's like this warm feeling, but it's a very like platonic chemistry that it's very difficult for me to get like any romantic vibes from. And I wonder if that's just because of like his awkwardness. There is, and I wonder if it's because of his sort of like the fact that he's playing this very awkward character who's been in a bunker for so long, and so he can't really have any chemistry. But like, I don't know, it's a very weird thing. Like, it doesn't not work for me, but forcing their sort of love relationship, I kind of would have liked it better if they'd both fall in love with somebody else through each other at the end. I think that would have been a better movie, but that's not really what they're going for here. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's a tough sell if they fall in love with somebody else through each other at the end of the movie. He went up there to find a wife, and Eve was the first female, single female of breeding age that he encounters. So he really didn't need to look very far, I guess.
No, that's true.
Yeah, it really paints an unrealistic idea of what it's like to date in Los Angeles as someone who's done it.
Yeah, in the late 90s, it was just a real nightmare out here.
I was there.
The first person you saw, you had to start dating, and if you didn't marry them and bring them to your bunker, you failed.
Can I tell you how I met the first guy I dated in Los Angeles? Now, Sam, you know a little bit about my background there. You've probably forgotten. That's okay. It's been a long time. John, I don't think you know anything. Long story short, I ran away from home. I'm using air quotes because I was 19. And I went to Los Angeles, and I ended up living in the Hollywood International Youth Hostel, which is still thriving on Hollywood Boulevard next to Mann's Chinese Theater.
Oh, yeah.
And below that place was a tattoo shop.
Yep.
So I would just pop down there all the time. And one day they very kindly, and here's where I'm an idiot, were like, "We'll pierce your nipples for free." And I was like, "What? God, that's so nice. So nice. I can't believe you're going to do this fucking thing where I show you my body like a dumb idiot." And that is how I met my first boyfriend. He was a piercer there. Hi, Craig. I love you.
Tucker Carlson. Oh, no, not.
Oh, I've met Tucker Carlson. Now, that's how you used to meet people. You'd wander into a tattoo shop and not realize that they're actually giving you a free set of piercings because they're lecherous perverts. So
Jen, I never knew that Matt Walsh used to pierce nipples. No, that is news to me.
Damn, not Veep Matt Walsh. Let me be clear, Sam. You're making a face. It's gross conservative pundit Matt Walsh. That's a guy I dated a while ago.
If you don't mind, that's Upright Citizens Brigade, Matt Walsh.
Sorry, I was going to say I couldn't remember if it was UCB or the other one. I was like, my mind kept saying Ass Cat.
Well, that's their flagship show.
I know, but I couldn't.
You couldn't remember if the name of the group.
UCB wasn't coming. So yes, that's how now, Sam, you were in LA then, obviously.
I was in LA in 99.
Do you recall what dating was like for you? Did it involve like just
I got a summer job at a tattoo place, and all the older guys.
Wait, were you the one piercing Jen?
Yeah,
that some dumb broad will walk in.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't even have my piercing license. They were like, who cares, man? Free boobs.
This idiot doesn't have any friends. She's living in a hostel.
Yeah. That's what Hostel 2 should have been called.
Yeah, it's just people getting
so was this tattoo job like before you played like a 12-year-old on Freaks and Geeks, or like
no, it was while I was doing it. I didn't like Andy Kaufman. I didn't trust that job was real, so I kept his civilian job.
No, I'm not wrong. You did play like well below your age on that show, right?
I don't know about well below. I was 17 playing 14.
Okay, 14. All right.
I was 17
playing 14.
Thank you.
No, I know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's what I remember about dating in 1999. I asked one girl if she would go out with me, and she said yes. And
congratulations.
She was a little older. Thank you. I was very pleased with myself.
Do you remember are you allowed to say where you met though? Was it at work? Was it in the world? Was it at the grocery stores? People are constantly telling us is a place.
I don't want to give too much away. Okay. So I don't want to say exactly where I met her. I'll tell you this: it wasn't at a strip club. It wasn't anywhere seedy. I can say that.
Okay.
Not a tattoo shop, that's for sure.
And
a swing dancing club is what you're saying.
At a swingers club.
At a swingers club. And so I had this girl who I was dating, and then I had this one guy who I had met. And he was like my buddy, and she was like my lady, and I was like, oh, I'm figuring stuff out. I'm 17. I'm gonna run the world. And then I found out that she started sleeping with my guy friend.
No, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, and it's to date, maybe the angriest I ever remember being. And this is the angriest I ever was.
It's possible that I know this story.
I'm angry.
I lost my lady and my friend, and then I was like, you know what?
LA sucks.
I don't ever want to be that angry again. So I'm not going to be. I'm going to decide to never get that angry again when something makes me mad.
That was a good lesson.
How long had you been dating at that point?
I would say a minimum of 3 months.
Okay, that's enough. Yeah,
when you're 17, 3 months might as well be 3 years. Like that's
like a quarter of your life.
Eternity.
It's a long time. Yeah.
God, that pain, that specific kind of pain. Now we're really off topic. John, do you want to
talk about... Jesus, where did... Oh, that's right. We went to go see Blast from the Past in theaters during our time together. That's not
circle.
That is not accurate, but I wish
it. Okay, I like these little
We can make it canon now. That can just be canonical from now on. Okay. That's part of your bio.
You can only talk so much about a perfect motion picture without going taking an exit or two into some interesting places.
It's true.
And for me, it was a terrible tattoo shop.
Well, that was LA in 1999.
You know what? I loved LA in 1999.
Your girlfriend will cheat on you, but free nipple piercing.
The alpha and the omega.
With your buddy. That's the worst part.
With your buddy.
That's what I'm mad about still. That guy. That's what I got in the story.
Yeah.
That sucks.
To hell with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. I have no idea. Not on social media, probably dead.
Let's hope so. Let's hope he's dead.
I guess. I don't know.
Wherever
he is, whatever he's doing, he's miserable.
Maybe he's in a bunker. We'll see him in 35 years.
There you go.
Maybe he went into a bunker for Y2K and has yet to come out.
When you were talking about their chemistry, I think the problem was also that, again, Brendan Fraser was presenting as a child in the body of an adult man. And it is...
Yeah.
It's pretty upsetting. It is pretty upsetting. I'm trying to think of if I was her, again, very unlikable character, I thought. Would I be attracted to somebody who felt like a baby child to me? And I don't think I would be.
But what if that baby child had the body of an adult man and you just convinced yourself he's just simple? He's from Alaska.
which I really loved that whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's very clear that he's naive because he does obviously know things. He does fight like the Notre Dame mascot. He does that old like, it's very like, he does all these things that's very like, that a woman in the late 1990s does want. She wants this man to protect her from her shitty ex-boyfriend. And she also wants him to be an incredible swing dancer. Again, these are all the bullet points of 1999. I get it. And he is accidentally funny.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we watch movies, poor John has to deal with me like focusing on logistics. And here's what I need to know. I don't care how successful Dave Foley is as a webmaster or whatever. How did he afford that house? Sam? I was trying to think of where I thought that house might be. Like maybe was it in Pasadena or that Craftsman, or possibly in like a Glendale? But like I was like, how did he afford that house? And
that house could be close to Central LA. That's where you see a lot of houses of that style, I believe. But also, I forgot that you were right. He is, like he says, he's a webmaster, web designer, or website creator, something like that. But I think you're forgetting, Jen.
Yes.
The .com boom.
Oh, that's right. That's what my first job. My first job was doing like a low rent version of IMDb, where I would watch the credits of films and then plug in names and jobs into some.
And isn't Dave Foley the one who? What's his name? Troy? Is it Troy? Trench?
Troy? I don't recall.
Troy. Isn't he the one who is like, these stocks are worth a fortune? Right? Because he's like recognized.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, it's all stocks. That's why he has that much money, because it's all like
he made his million. He made a good deal of money in the web early on, and then invested it wisely.
Yep.
Thanks guys.
Dividends.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I want to say, Jen, I want to defend Alicia in this movie a little bit, or the character, because like I get what you're saying, and she is obviously like off-putting and mean and not very appealing as a character. But also, like, if I was her, that's how I'd act in that situation. If some weirdo was like acting as though he lived in the 1960s and was a freak and, whatever, of course, yeah, I'd be like, fuck this, fuck everybody, y'all are weird. I get it. Like, I relate to where she's coming from. I think maybe they overplayed it a little bit and they need to like tone it down because it is supposed to be a rom-com. But I also found her reaction to him pretty understandable. What I didn't find as understandable is her like sudden swing to, actually, I'm in love with him and now we'll break him out of the psychiatric ward or whatever for my love. That was a weird 180, but
he blew on her knee when she hurt herself, and that was all it took. Just a little blowing
true.
on the knee. Do you know what I wish? I wish that they had taken him to the mental health facility and we had to and that's like the fact that he ran away and that quickly went nowhere. I was like, no. We now have to have him be in this mental health facility and have the opportunity to meet another cast of wacky characters and have him have that. And I know that's maybe stereotypical. There's a lot of movies where there is that scene, but I wanted to at least spend a few minutes of him in that facility. I think it would have been good.
It would have been interesting, but also I'd like to point out beautiful movie logic in a major American city, Los Angeles. The notion that she called up the police and was like, hey, there's this guy and he has this crazy story and he bomb shelter and he wants to take me away. And then the police were like, so is he threatening you? Well, no. I mean, I told him I didn't want to go. So he's not like forcing me. Okay. Is he forcing other people? Not to my knowledge. Is he a danger to himself? Oh, no, I don't think so. He's very self-conscious.
He's a hell of a dancer.
Ma'am, we're not going to do anything. No. Stop wasting our time. No. This is not a 5150. This guy does not pose a danger to himself or others. We have but they send out 2 people.
Yeah.
To try to take this guy in.
They actually
Only
do what we want the police
They
to
do
exactly nowadays,
right,
which is
don't
send a cop to escalate the situation. Send
Right.
a mental health professional. Here's what's funny though, is that she's not related to him. So again, let's slightly hyper focus on the logistics. As a non-family member, she has no right to do any of this. He's an adult man who's done that. They'd go, well, how are you related? And then she'd be like, I just met the guy. And they'd be like, yeah, okay, we're out. But you're not even his wife. Girl, we gotta go.
Let us know if he takes a swing at you. We can come out then.
Or a swinger. I just knew.
Let us know if he takes you to a swingers bar.
Yes. I wish it was both a swingers and a swingers.
I'm going to bring us back to swing music for a second. I just got to know, did you guys own any of the swing music CDs?
Yep.
Yes. Which ones?
All of them.
All of them?
I definitely had
Cherry Pop
and Daddies, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Wasn't Real Big Fish, or that's more ska?
That was ska. And when those guys were out of work, they did the big band thing for a minute.
Yeah. But like Real Big Fish is where ska and swing, that's where that crossover is. Like it's right in that sweet spot. But yeah, I had the one Squirrel Nut Zippers album that everybody had with Hell, and then I had the one Big Bad Voodoo Daddy with Go Daddy O, and like that was it for me. But I never got into
Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Wasn't impressed with Cherry Pop and Daddies. Wasn't impressed.
I think Squirrel Nut Zippers were super fun because they were so weird.
They were awesome. They were fucking
ones.
awesome. They were weird as hell. They were big Satanists and like fucking weird.
I think we need to acknowledge real quick while we're talking about it. So like Lady Antebellum, which is now, we shouldn't. Right. Lady now it's just Lady A, right? The Dixie Chicks. Nope. We're just the Chicks.
Chicks?
Cherry Pop and Daddies.
No notes. None.
No notes. You guys are good. History has already made the call here. You guys are fine.
We have a club.
No name change needed.
We're in this club every Friday night. We're just a bunch of daddies that get together and we pop cherries. What's the problem? Now,
that's also weird. Because Squirrel Nut Zippers as well was about like giant balls, right? Like, what is with?
Wait, Squirrel Nut Zippers. When I say it quickly, it makes sense. But when I slow it down, I don't know what's happening. Squirrel Nut Zippers. What the fuck? What are we saying? I don't know what that is. Squirrel Nut Zippers.
So okay.
I don't feel good.
Yeah, I got nothing.
But I'm looking up Cherry Pop and Daddies.
That's
a testicles thing.
Pretty easy.
Oh, thank God Cherry Pop and Daddy's tour just came up because I'm here to tell you I will go. I'm just going to see if there's like a wiki entry. Somebody asked them. Mm-hmm. I don't have a father, so I don't really know what dads do.
Oh, Jesus. I just feel like if somebody did ask the band, they're like, no, it's not dirty. It's at the end of every show, our lead singer eats a whole can of maraschino cherries. He's a real Cherry Pop and Daddy.
I felt like it could have been like, you know how like during that time, this was also the time when everybody was like obsessed with Betty Page. Everybody had Betty Page bangs. All the gals were cutting their hair, and everyone was wearing like, all the gals had like, why am I saying gals? Cherries on all their dresses. Do you remember that? Yep. Cherries on the dresses for all the Scal gals? Nope. Scal gals was like a thing.
Those are the cherries being popped by the daddies.
That's what I want to believe. But so I'm trying to find a goddamn, give me you guys talk amongst yourselves. And I'll give you a topic. A peanut?
Is neither a pea nor a nut. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
I would like to talk about Dave Foley for a moment, if I may.
20 minutes.
We love Dave Foley. Actually, there's a third movie in the Dave Foley Brendan Fraser canon. That, of course, is Monkey Bone, which right.
Oh my
God, so they must trilogy. Be BFFs.
Well, it's Canada. Again, they all know each other.
It's Canada.
Yeah. So, I'm like, would this still happen? Famously straight comedian playing a gay character in the late 90s. That was a thing.
It still happens. It still happens today. We are still unfortunately doing that. As recent, like even more recently than Call Me by Your Name, which was Chalamet and now famous cannibal Armie Hammer.
I will say that, like, what I was impressed by was that he, like, I had kind of two thoughts. I'm like, well, I think this would cause a little bit more of an uproar if you're playing kind of a comedic character as a gay, as a straight man, and not hiring a gay actor to play it. On the other hand, I was also like, this is remarkably like not over the top stereotypical gay best friend for 1999 or even now. Like, it was actually a very weirdly oh, this is just a guy who happens to be gay character, which was like really kind of mind blowing for me, especially for the time period.
No, I agree, and I know exactly what you're saying, which is they didn't make his character gay for laughs. Like the fact that he's gay is not ever a punchline. It's just, and this is her gay roommate. You know,
do you think they did that as like a Three's Company situation where like maybe they needed to have her live with a guy, but they were like, let's make him gay so it's
non-threatening guy,
so it's not whatever. I don't know, maybe.
I think it's, and this is going to sound terrible, I think it's so that they could give her another character to bounce stuff off of who was not a fellow pretty young woman. Because then it complicates the story, like, oh, well, maybe Brendan Fraser will be in love with her, and maybe she'll be it just keeps it really easy. And it's not another alpha male, so it does story-wise make sense for the ease of storytelling. But I'm happy to say that once they made that choice, like I said, it's never played for laughs, the fact that he's gay. It's just, he's a gay person. Move on.
He has all the best lines. I'm forgetting the exchange. John, maybe you remember because you've seen this movie 17 times recently. There's this quiet exchange when it's after he takes Brendan Fraser shopping and he comes home and Alicia Silverstone is doing her nails and they have this exchange and there's a double entendre and I cannot remember the joke. Like Dave Foley keeps repeating like, yeah, don't you want to, no shit, it's too specific.
Oh, I think it's he wants to rollerblade around her block.
Something like that. Right? He's like, yeah, yes, that's it. God damn, Sam.
Sam.
How? And listen, I love a rollerblade.
My brain.
He's like, yeah, let him rollerblade around your block or something repeatedly. And I'm like, this is the funniest exchange.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, can you remember an obscure line?
I don't know how you did it.
Movie? No. I can remember obscure lines from a late 90s movie. Cannot recall that Batman is in Swing Kids.
No, but when you've memorized the entire script from Blast from the Past, how are you supposed to remember who the hell's in Swing Kids? Let's be honest.
I'm going to have to forget some phone numbers to free up some space.
You don't need to know your best friend from first grade's landline number anymore. And neither do I.
Yeah. But I do know it. It's seared in there.
Actually, so do I.
Yeah, I know my best friend's landline.
I will say that the exchange in the club with this woman, Sophie, Dave Foley, in his interview with my favorite film critic, Bobby Wygant, he said that he ad-libbed the line about her breasts, where he says, "Do you check those things, or are they carry-on?" And she
okay.
And he goes, "I ad-libbed that line," and I was like, "Okay, Dave Foley, that's fantastic."
Sure, good for you, Dave.
That was my line. Now, listen, I don't know. I think they probably took him when he went rollerblading, Brendan, do you think, Sam, if you can recall, I think they maybe went to Venice Beach, but I've never.
They do go to the beach.
Sit on these stone tables in this area that is perfect for rollerblading. And I guess I didn't spend enough time on the west side when I lived there because I was like, where is this? I don't know where this is.
Right. As my aforementioned very pale skin can tell you, I also don't go to the beach much, but I do believe that area of LA is either in like Venice Beach or Marina del Rey, or that area is for sure somewhere by the water.
It is like
I know it exists.
His reaction to the ocean is precisely, I was like, you've got to lose your mind. This is the first time you are seeing the ocean. My God.
Like
I guess for me,
snow.
That's right. There wasn't enough of that. Like, don't you think that, I know we saw immediately his reaction to the outside world, but I do think he kind of accepted everything rather with ease. And I'm like, oh, sir, you need to be freaking out every 2 seconds. This is quite a...
Yeah.
Well, there is that line where he sees the black lady mail carrier, right?
Yeah, I was.
Yes. That was
there is that line
for what it's worth. By the way,
I got very worried during some of those moments. I went, ooh.
When I was describing the movie to my wife, that was the first line I remembered.
What was it again?
The line is, and I'm quoting from the film, "My lucky stars, a Negro."
Yep.
And then her reaction is appropriate. She's like, "What?"
I was very worried that there was going to be like more of that, and I was like, they went in 1962. This is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. But
but he's nice. He's nice, and his dad is very like progressive, right? It like that's part of the character as well. As his dad is sort of this like very enlightened person. He has no bedside manner and no social graces, and like talks to his mom in like really fucked up ways. But like he is clearly very learned and like worldly, right? So that's sort of part of the character they try and draw there. And I think they do that on purpose because for that reason, like when he comes out of the bunker, you can't have him. You can't go to 11 on that and like have all of the racial slurs and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So I think that was written like pretty well written into the script, like somewhat subtly, but yeah, that made sense to me.
Yeah. But also the way he says it, and it's the only racial slur of any kind, I believe, that is in the film. But how he says it is said with such innocence. And honestly, if I can make this about me for a second, I think maybe a year and a half-ish earlier, on a Jewish teen tour that I was part of.
What's a Jewish teen tour?
Yeah. It's a bunch of Jewish teenagers get on a big tour bus.
Go on tour.
And we go on tour. Introducing Judaism to parts of the country. No, we don't introduce. It's when it's like a youth group thing. You get in the bus and you go hang out and you go to this city and you go to a theme park and you go to a museum and you spend a different night in a different hotel and it's like 5-6 nights and your parents are like $800. Great. Take them for a week. We don't give a shit. That
sounds really fun.
Yeah. It's great. It's terrific fun. And the bus broke down, in, a rural area of, I don't want to say what state, not a blue state. And here's what happened.
I know it.
A bunch of teenage Jewish kids were wandering around this rural area, and the bus broke was the thing, and we had to wait over an hour for like a repair person to show up to help fix the bus. The driver couldn't do it, and there was like a little country store, like a 5 and dime. Just up the road. And so our supervisors were like, yeah, you guys can go wander up there, but you got to go as a group, come back as a group, no stragglers, come back in 20 minutes, And so a bunch of us wander in there and it's, the middle of the morning and there's 2 teenagers working the counter or, front area. And they see us and they're very, is that y'all's bus up there? Yes, it is.
I'm so nervous.
And you know exactly where it's going. And the guy says, what's the deal? And then one of the kids, not me, I didn't actually speak in the story. I was just witness to it. One of them said, it's a Jewish youth group. And with the same level of innocence that Brendan Fraser's character, Adam, says, my lucky stars. This kid said, what, y'all are Jews? Where's y'all's horns?
Oh.
This is the 90s.
God.
This is the 90s. And I was like, I immediately clocked it as, that's not hate. That is taught,
genuine
learned
question.
Ignorance.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is learned hate. That is Borat.
Yeah.
Like this child was not taught this as, and we like to pretend they got horns. This child was genuinely brought up, and then the Jews have horns and whatever horrible other thing they were taught, and they'd never seen a Jewish person, never interacted with one. Any of the ones they saw on TV, they shave those horns down. Now, it did get very ugly very quickly. Sure. I tried to de-escalate the situation, didn't work. But like, I'll never forget the earnestness of the question. It was not a hate-filled question.
Mm-hmm.
Genuine
curiosity. We never had a Jew in here. Can I see?
And that's kind of the way that the postal worker in the movie reacts to Brendan Fraser. She's sort of like weirdly put off and then kind of delighted because he's so nice about.
Yeah, he's so polite about it. She's like, okay.
Yeah. I think you can name the state. I don't.
Are we still on that?
I'm not shocked.
There are people who are probably from that state who will listen to this, and I don't need them reaching out to me to say, on behalf of this state, we apologize. Yeah. I think my accent limits it to a certain number of states.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fucking Montana.
I'm just mouthing all the bad ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know what you're mouthing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
It was New York State.
Of course it was.
It was New York State.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they were
someone in New York State being like, a Jewish person. Yeah.
Ye gads.
Oh my golly.
My lucky stars. All right, where were we in the movie? Let's I think
We might be
okay.
close to the end. I mean,
Of the movie?
There's the procuring, there's the of our lives. There's the procuring of the supplies, and I don't understand those logistics either. Like
I don't either.
I know they enlisted the help of the cult, but at the same time, I don't understand how everything moved so quickly.
The cult subplot is also very, very funny, and yeah, it's a weird kind of like thrown in joke that you don't need for the movie to still work, but because Joey Slotnick is so goddamn great, that's the only reason why I think the cult subplot really works.
I wish that we could have a spin-off film
where the story
only stays with the Joey Slotnick character.
Yes.
Yeah.
How that cult develops, how the people show up, how he explains to them the history of the diner and what it's become. And now it's, ground zero of the new awakening. and then him going down into the bunker. Because I think he does, right? I think at the end of the movie,
I think they must live there, right? They probably take over and live there, and then they have all the supplies that Brendan Fraser spent time to assemble before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because that's what I wanted for them. I'm like, this is clearly a group of unhoused people, and now they get to have this like weird underground bunker as their home. Except Slotnick is building a retro cafe over it, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But still, they all became
Even in this utopia, capitalism.
I think that's exactly my sort of like frustration. Well, not frustration with it, but like I was like, I had that exact same thought. I was like, you don't need this for the movie, but this itself would make, in like a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern kind of way, this would make a really good other movie about this guy who experiences this happening, and it's too bad. I think more of it or less of it would probably have been better in the context of the movie as it is, but it is still a very it's a funny idea.
It's a lovely side plot.
And I like that this movie goes all in on its funny ideas. Like, that's one of my favorite things about this movie is like, even when it doesn't always work for me and it gets a little excessive and a little farcical, like I do like that this movie is like, here's this idea and we're going to keep digging into it and going to keep exploring it and like keep doubling down on it every chance that we get. I really kind of appreciated that about this. Cause like, we say this a lot on this show, especially, but like they don't make movies like this anymore. Because it's so fucking weird and high concept. This would be like a TV show on a streamer now, but it probably would overstay its welcome.
They don't make movies like that anymore. And the reality I fear is, my guess is a movie like that had a budget of probably about $20 to $25 million.
35.
I mean, the
was
house.
It 35?
You're okay. Good.
35. And that's $35 million. And it had Brendan Fraser was certainly at the time, a bankable name as far as studios were concerned. And they took a chance on what I'm sure was at some point, I mean, you say it was in development for 20 years, but like a spec script, not based on previously written material, not based on existing IP. And they don't do that anymore. That is not a thing studios do anymore. No one says, oh, here's a check for $35 million for this spec script with, an A-list actor of the day. Good luck. It's either $150 million, we're trying to start a new franchise, or nope, it's an art house picture. You get $5 million.
Or reboot. People are putting money into nostalgia, which I find to be, depending on what it is, I'm either okay with it or I don't care. But it's not going to ruin anything that I love, because that's not how that works. Mm-hmm. So I wonder how much it cost to build that house at the end. I couldn't figure out where they.
I know where they spent the money. Like I thought they spent it on Walken. Well, I don't know about that. One thing that Sam said earlier, I've heard this before. I don't know if it's true or if it was true at one point, but we were talking about like what Walken's been in and what he had been in before that, and that he was in this and Sleepy Hollow. Sam's got a Pulp Fiction poster behind him right now. Walken's oeuvre is large and varied. I heard a rumor sometime around this time that Walken has a rule of never saying no to any movie that's offered to him. Oh. So
I don't think that's necessarily true. Maybe it's
it
like
would explain a lot of movies he's in.
It would, but maybe it's I have a rule of never saying no to a movie if they offer this asking price.
Maybe.
Because there are plenty of actors that have that.
I don't know. I don't think that in 1999, just to defend Sleepy Hollow, that's a Tim Burton movie. Tim Burton, if he came to me in 1999 or now,
sure,
you're going to say yes to Tim Burton. And I bet Walken was a big WKRP and Cincinnati fan, so he's going to say yes to Blast from the Past.
Also, you're forgetting Batman Returns.
Oh, that's right.
Walken
That's right. That's
guys.
right.
So,
Shrek.
So he and Timmy.
Shrek. Yeah.
And so he and good old Timmy Burton.
They were pals.
Yeah,
they were pals.
Yeah, he's one of his crew. No, I don't think they spent it on the Walken salary. We talked about this already, but like the production value of the first half hour of this movie is insane. Like it's so
that's a
immaculate.
It's huge.
The bunker set is enormous. In fact, it's weird. Like one of the jarring things about this movie is that the second 60 minutes of it just looks so much cheaper than the first 30 minutes with its like attention to detail and it's like all this, this period costuming and like everything else. But I think most of the budget went, well, you got Sissy Spacek and you got Alicia Silverstone where her star is still high. You got Brendan Fraser, who probably had a pretty big asking price at that point, and Walken. But like, I think most of that budget went to that first 30 minutes to really make that pop. And a lot of the
and to rent out the entire swing club.
There is that too. Yes, and to get all that Squirrel Nut Zippers music rights.
It looks like I suspect it was like a hotel. It felt like that they just turned a ballroom into a club because like maybe they did it like an establishing shot at a club, but then inside that felt very much like a ballroom to me. I mean, look, do I want to go to this club? Yeah, I'm not a fucking idiot. Of course, I want to go to this club. I want to dance like that. You know what
just occurred to me? And I can't believe I'm just coming to this realization now. That's what A Night at the Roxbury got wrong. The Roxbury should have been a swing club.
Oh, there you go.
And by the way, I did go to that club.
Which club? The Key Club?
The Key Club. I've gone to the Key Club.
Roxbury. I'm sure I saw you there. I'm sure we crossed paths at the Key Club.
That was so embarrassing.
By the way, kids, if you try to Google it, it hasn't been the Key Club in a long time.
No.
Maybe, but you know what's still there? The fucking saddle bar.
Saddle Ranch.
Saddle Ranch. You can still go to the Saddle Ranch. I don't think so.
By the way, Brendan Fraser can dance real well.
Oh, for sure.
That was a great scene.
Well, about that, look, here comes some facts.
Ooh,
that's something that like sweet little Bobby asked him. She was like, Brendan, did you know how to dance before this? And he's like, vaguely, yes. He goes, I like to dance. He goes, the type and style doesn't really matter as long as I get enough choreography and someone's standing over me with a big stick yelling, get it right. And then he says, I have 2 left feet, and says, this is where I really connected with Brendan Fraser. He goes, that's my self-deprecating sense of humor. It's part of being a gentleman.
Wow.
Brendan.
Wow. I feel like he tried. It's like that almost seems like he's trying to stay in character for the press tour.
Honestly, he was. I mean, it wasn't quite the goofy sort of vibe, but he was very like it was that soft, quiet. He has a soft, quiet way of speaking in his, I guess, everyday life when he's not being the best Encino man you can be. But it was very soft-spoken and quiet.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Fraser starring vehicle, The Mummy, was also released in 1999.
Yep. He was
as was Dudley Do Right. This was a big Fraser year.
He was about to film both of those. Those were because these were early. These interviews were in early '99. So I think this movie must have squeaked.
So was this like a January, February release?
Yeah,
it's Valentine's Day. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Okay, and then The Mummy was summer,
May,
for sure. And then
Dudley Do Right was
Dudley
August.
Do Right was
Yeah.
August. Oh, also so. All right, wow. So he was going for the. I mean, even though he was already established, he was going for the Jim Carrey 1, 2, 3 punch.
You got it.
He had quite a run before.
He sure did.
Before he was
Thanks.
unfortunately.
And then Bedazzled is 2000, right?
Fucking love
That's
that
2000.
movie.
Yep.
Speaking of reboots,
Yeah.
I love that movie.
And then Monkey Bone was 1 or 2. And
What?
Monkey Bone, by the way,
2001.
But was this all
also had the song Hell in it by Squirrel Nut Zippers on that
This
soundtrack
was all
as well.
after like School Ties, and he did those two very
School Ties
serious
was like
movies.
94.
He did
School Ties with Honors.
With Honors. God, that movie also made me cry.
So I said I had some bad things to say about this movie, and I'm going to say them now. I'm just okay. So
aggressive.
This is a problem with me with comedies in general, is that very few comedies for me, even when they're 90 minutes as they usually are, very few of them like last all the way to the end. Most comedies in my mind like run out of steam at like 60 or 75 minutes, and then I get kind of frustrated towards the end. This movie, I love it. I love the performances. It's very funny. It's very clever. It's great. Everybody should see it. It does not know how to end, and it just sort of towards the end is like forgets what it's doing. Once Alicia starts into doing a voiceover, I'm like, what is this? What movie is this from?
That was very
bizarre.
weird. To introduce that voiceover at the end was a strange choice.
It just could not stick the landing, and that's really unfortunate because I was like, this is a terrible way to end this movie. It didn't ruin any of it for me. I think it's a really, really great movie, but if there is a criticism, that is definitely it. Like it just doesn't. It just loses what it was doing and then sort of rushes towards the end. And that's
I wonder. I mean, the fact is, and this happens with way, way, way more movies than people know, is I wonder if they tested it, audience tested the movie and it was not going well. And they brought everyone back 5, 6, 7 months later to do reshoots to change the ending. I mean, famously Anchorman. And I feel like a lot of people know it, but still others don't.
I thought you were going to say Pretty in Pink. I'm like, famously.
Yes.
Fuck
famously. Fuck you, Ducky.
That little fucking incel. That little fucking incel. And then poor Andrews got put a wig on. That's fine. He shaved his head for...
Shaved his head.
Whatever. Was it a military?
Right.
Yeah.
And then My Blue Heaven is another big one. All from the air. But I would wonder if this film went through reshoots and
I could see it.
Did a big rewrite.
So when you say the end, though, because for me, listen, I laughed so hard when Christopher Walken was pacing out his next bunker. I went, that's the way to do it. So that's obviously the literal ending. But again, I say, I found the 2.5 seconds of he might be committed. Just kidding. He's not going to be committed to be useless. If they had fully committed him, I would have understood it. But I was like, what are we doing here? They show up, and is that what makes her realize she loves him? That she almost lost him by her own doing? That was the part where I went, what was that? And then he ran away, and I was like, oh, he's not even going into the hospital.
I feel like, honestly, now that we're really talking about it, and thank you for reminding me about all these story beats that were not as clear as some of the other lines. I feel like if they do go down that road, like, the two people from the mental hospital are talking to him, like perhaps there may have been an original draft where they do in fact commit him, and then Silverstone and Foley go to collect his shit. They realize, oh my God, he's not crazy. He is telling us the truth. And then they have to go to the hospital and get him out or whatever. And all of that, it just adds so much story that they're like, but this is a comedy. We want it to be nice and tight and get to the next thing, get to the next thing. There's not enough to mine there. So instead of him actually getting committed, he just runs away. And then they have to go searching through. I think they're looking for adult stores, right?
All over the valley.
all the honestly, adult stores in the valley.
That's very funny. But I get also unrelated. But is that joke funny outside of anyone who's never been in the valley? I mean, people sort of knew that that's where porn was shot. But does that joke land for just so and so in Idaho? He's like, well,
I think it just
I thought that was great. I was like,
I think it's great, and I think that just helps to reinforce the picture of how sinful major U.S. cities like Los Angeles are to pure Midwestern. You go out there, it's nothing but porn. porn on every block.
Yeah.
That's where you want to live.
And
you
that
stay
one tattoo
here.
shop. Yeah.
Porn, tattoo shops, youth hostels. Yeah. You think they're just giving away free nipple piercings? No, Mom, they are.
Oh my God. What? Oh God, Greg, I'm sorry you're hearing all this, but boy, that was me being an idiot. That's more, look, men are going to try, sometimes they're going to try to take advantage, and it was up to me to go, now, wait a minute.
Wait.
So anyway, yeah.
Doesn't seem right.
and then they very quickly find him. I just felt like any potential issues were solved so quickly that I couldn't tell. It didn't feel like as if they needed them at all.
Yeah.
They get in the car to look for him. We find him almost right away, wandering the streets. Everything.
Maybe they went through rewrites while they were shooting.
Probably.
Yeah, it's possible.
Maybe they even shot in sequence to aid with that sort of thing. They
had to with that set.
It's not working. And then fix the story as they go by.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because so much of the concept lends itself to being a lot more serious than this movie is, and I kind of feel like at certain points in writing it, it's almost like, do we want to do something interesting and insightful here, or do we want to stick with the sort of like over the top farce of all of it? And for the most part, I think they did a very nice job maintaining the tone and like keeping it on the sort of farcical level, where it's kind of like lovable and enjoyable and just like, just a really good time. But yeah, like the again, like the voiceover thing felt like something from a different movie, and it felt like something that was like where they're kind of flirting with this idea, like, yeah, but also like, but going like deeper into something else. And yeah, I wonder if there were struggles with the script to like nail down that tone, and probably maybe this is one of the places where the audience recommendations and test screenings made it better. I don't know if there's a version of this movie that goes too far with like the serious so-called social commentary, but I'd love to find out.
All right,
did you find something
while we're sitting here chatting about it?
Yeah,
I
love the internet.
I'm sad I didn't do this sooner. New Line created two versions of the film.
The house that Freddy
one
built.
Domestic version for the U.S.
released that one. Okay,
yeah, at 111 minutes, and an international version running at 103 minutes. And most of the European DVD releases include the scenes deleted from the film as bonus material. So, look, all I'm saying is I feel like there's a lot. If they're already prepared to cut down from 111 to 103, there was more.
Yeah.
So we got the 111. Is that us? Is that
we got the 111? Yeah, the domestic version was the full version.
What 8 minutes did they lose for the? Where did that
voiceover? There's two.
In the UK widescreen, the film runs 10 minutes longer. Additional scenes include when Calvin goes up to the world for the first time in 35 years. He sees a guy looking for food in bins. Bins. They mean trash cans.
Why don't you have an extra you idiots?
When Adam, the scene goes, when Adam and Eve tells his parents to shut the locks for 2 months, the scene goes on where they ask them to at least stay for one meal, and we see her helping out in the kitchen, Calvin telling Adam a joke, so that we know that's in our version, right?
Yep, we saw all that.
Yeah, so they're all right. So I mean, look, that doesn't exactly confirm what perhaps we're saying, but it lends itself to
this theory.
A notion that there are definitely some cutscenes, and when there are some cutscenes, there are usually more cutscenes. So I don't know. Maybe we go down. Hey, I want you to know that as of last year, Alicia said she would be happy to make Blast from the Past 2.
I saw it on Entertainment Weekly while she was at 90s Con on a panel.
I'd be happy to see it, Alicia. I don't know how that would work, but I would be happy to see it. I also want to just like very quickly shout out another element of this movie that I thought was very ahead of its time and quite progressive and lovely, which is first of all, I just like love the scene when Christopher Walken goes to the surface for the first time. I love the idea that they're all like mutants. His whole interpretation of everything that's going on is just like hysterically funny, just like in the background of it. But when he encounters Jasmine, who plays the streetwalker, and it's this like trans woman who, again, this is 1998 when they're filming this or whatever, and there's like no fucking cheap jokes. It is very like it's just this great funny little scene. She offers to offer services,
show him a good time, and she says, "I can be a boy or a girl."
And weirdly not cheap and homophobic. It's fucking great. I love it.
And then he goes down and describes that interaction to Sissy Spacek. And it's like, they can be boys or girls. Like, that's all he says. He's not weird about it. It was very funny.
Yeah.
It was very good. So, yeah, I feel like we've pretty much reached to the end of this motion picture.
I think I found the house, by the way.
You did? Is it still,
I'm going to find out what part of LA
there?
it's in.
Oh, the Craftsman or the 60s?
The Craftsman house, not the family house, but the one that where Silverstone and Foley live.
Yeah, add it to the bus tour.
It's near the Hollywood Dell. So it's for those who are not familiar with the area, it is not quite central LA, but it's at the north end of LA. But in no way, shape, or form is that Pasadena. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I didn't think so. It's a beautiful house.
It's a lovely house, and it's still there, standing just as you remember it. But there's quite a lot of, at least according to the Google images I'm looking at, there's a lot of trees covering the house now. Because I guess
they had to get those up because people were coming. They were coming on those blasts from the past tours. They were showing up the same way they show up at Laurie Strode's house, which is in Pasadena, I believe.
Of course, it is.
Yeah, that much.
The Ferris Bueller house is down in Long Beach, by the way.
I think the Michael Jackson Thriller house is in Echo Park. Guys, we're having a great time. Let's name some more. Okay.
Let's name more things in LA that are not related to the movie we're talking about.
You know what? I went back to LA a few years ago. I was a little more depressed than I thought I was going to be, but I still love that.
So here's a question. You guys have covered a lot of episodes, a lot of movies. Do you know at this point if the majority of your listeners watch the movie first and then come here to listen, or do they listen and then get interested and then go seek out the film?
I think they listen first because John used to tease out like the next film by just making a clever joke and not saying it, seeing.
But it was pretty obvious most of the time.
Obvious, but then people wrote in and were like, "We'd love for you to just say the name so we know."
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that makes sense.
But I will say, I mentioned that we're recording this on Twitter, and the internet likes this movie. They are big fans.
I'm a big fan. Obviously, you can see how well I remember it for a movie I've not seen in minimum really 6 years.
Yeah, yes. I'm a huge fan. I love getting finger blasted from the finger pasted. That's not going to catch on.
That's a thing people say.
It just sounds like you only let men who've lived in bunkers touch you.
Just tattoo artists, I think.
Not saying you're wrong. Not saying you're wrong. Not saying you're right. Yeah. But not saying
Greg's actually, Greg is a scientist. Oh, Greg's my boyfriend. He is a scientist.
He probably has a bunker that you don't know about. You'll find out about it in a few years. He'll tell you.
He'll tell you all about the bunker life.
No, I'm trying to get bunked. Is that a t-shirt? Any of these?
The problem is, I think Bunked is the name of a children's show on the Disney Channel.
Now, Sam, I also noticed that you were once on it because you've been on one episode of every show, is my understanding. Right?
That is accurate. At least one.
Yeah.
All cancers. Yeah.
Including one of my kids. So my kids recently discovered the show Liv and Maddie, and apparently you were on that one. So we're going to do a whole rewatch, and we're going to let's wait for Sam. Let's see where he shows up. Yeah. Do you remember what episode of Liv and Maddie you were on? And what you played?
When you say, do I remember the episode? I can't tell you the episode number. I can't tell you anything other than the storyline that my character was in is the Joey, the actor's name. I don't remember his character's name. Gets a job at like a fast food place at the food court in the mall because he wants to buy a phone. So his parents tell him, you got to get a job to earn money if you want to buy this phone.
Right.
And I am his boss at this fast food restaurant at the mall. And I think we make gyros or something.
Okay. I think I maybe
saw Mediterranean food of some kind. Here's here's why that particular job is memorable to me.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, all of my jobs are memorable, but that one specifically was the very first thing I ever did on camera with a beard. That role.
Wow. That's interesting.
I was I was very grateful to the producers for letting me keep that beard. I had the beard when I read for the role.
Yeah.
And at one point they did say, but you're going to shave, right? And I said, actually, I'd really like to keep the beard.
Yeah, it's a good, you have a good, like, robust.
You're very sweet. But it was not as robust. I was 31 and I'd only been letting it grow for like 2.5 weeks, maybe 3.
Yeah.
It takes about a month for it to get as full as it's going to get.
Right.
But they were very nice. And so that is the first role that I think of myself as like a grown up.
Okay.
That's exciting.
In my career. Yeah.
Now, I think that, in my opinion, some of my favorite work of yours, if we may do this to you for 1 second,
boy.
Sam, I'm so sorry. No,
Knock
it's drunk history. It's the drunk history stuff.
Well,
that's my favorite. Now, look, Derek Waters, who I don't know, is from Maryland, but
yeah, he's a Baltimore boy.
He is a Baltimore baby. That's where I am right now.
Yeah.
But
I can't tell you how much I loved that show. I loved Derek. I've known Derek a long time. He is so funny. Jeremy Connor, of course, is the other lesser sung half because he didn't appear on camera in any of the episodes. But what the two of them did with that show over as many seasons as they did, it's still some of my favorite TV. And I got to do 3 episodes of that. And every time
remind me again, who were you?
I played Wayne Wheeler, I believe, the first time I was on the show, who was the guy who he was not a good guy. He was a prohibition guy.
Ooh.
Wayne Wheeler was one of the fathers of prohibition in America.
Yeah.
The second time I was on, I believe I was Fiorello LaGuardia.
Oh,
wow, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Which was super fun. I believe his nickname was like the Little Flower, was what they called Fiorello LaGuardia. I guess he was not a tall man.
Yeah.
So perfect fit. And then the third time I was on, I believe the guy's name is Henry Berg, Bergh. He was the founder of the ASPCA, so he was an animal rights guy. So I played 2 really good guys and 1 terrible guy.
Yeah.
On Drunk History, and all of them were super duper fun. And I have not rewatched most of them in a while, but I remember somebody showed me a short clip of the Henry Berg one, the ASPCA one, and I want to say Mae Whitman was the narrator on that. And there's the clip they showed me. I was like, it made me laugh. Like I didn't remember doing it, but it's a thing where Henry Berg tried to go undercover because he found out that there were these horrible animal fighting underground rings or whatever, and they were super careful. I mean, there's 100 years ago, and they were super careful to keep law enforcement out. And so Henry Berg goes undercover to play a drunk Englishman or something, or Irishman, and to sneak into the club. And so that was the scene I saw, and it's so goofy, it's so silly, because she starts doing a voice, and so then I put on this goofy way about me to do it, and I never laugh at my own stuff.
Sure,
it's okay.
I just forgot about it, and that's not even my own stuff. It's me and May. It's a collab.
It's good.
And so I saw that one little beat of it, and I genuinely laughed. I was like, "Oh man, I missed that show." I would have done one of those every season if that had gone on forever. And I would love for it to
come back. They could do. I guess they can't do high history. Maybe that's in poor taste or not okay. Now that
the problem with high history is the story. It would just be no, and then the guy wait, and then that's not. No, we got to go back because that's not what he said, and it would just be nonsense.
I know. I guess
as opposed to Drunk History, which
is so good.
I fear that most people will never get the joy of having to get to see the unedited version of the narrations.
Oh God!
And they don't realize that those narrations would often take 5, 6, 7 hours.
Oh, I believe it.
And the truth is, because what they do is the person starts drinking. And then an hour and a half later is when the crew actually starts shooting.
Oh my God.
And then the person tells the story 3 or 4 times in a row. But they keep drinking the whole time.
Oh,
and so they intercut slightly more sober portions of the story being told with like sloppy falling over, can't remember their own name versions of it.
Yeah.
And like there was always a medical team on standby to give the person like medical attention. Like, no, here's some oxygen, here's some anti-nausea stuff. You're going to be fine.
The liability budget on that show alone must have been, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
The burp budget.
Yeah, and like Derek asked me on more than one occasion, like, do you want to be a narrator next time? And I'm like, bro, I'm the worst drinker.
Yeah.
I would not be good. Like, I'd be sleepy and pukey before I even finished telling it the first time.
I'd be angry and crying. We don't want that. Yeah. And then my ex, I'm sorry, you dated Abraham Lincoln? Yeah.
There was like a Lifetime version of Drunk History. Then maybe
Marfan syndrome, and he denied it. He wouldn't even admit it, even though it hadn't been invented
I looked
yet.
through his phone. I looked through his phone. You looked through Abraham Lincoln's phone? I looked through his phone.
Mm-hmm. Now, who's stepping out on Mary Todd and me?
Real quick, one more thing before we move into our final question here, and then we're gonna go. Kidding. You are also, so Jen is currently watching the television program Lost, where you famously played clerk uncredited in parentheses.
I've never seen Lost.
Have you seen him yet? Have you been to Jen? Have you gotten to the part where Sam is yet? Or are you still waiting for that?
So I told you I had to take a break and walk into. If you would have gotten a text.
Do you remember what episode that is? Because I am a Lost fanatic.
That I do. That remember. I definitely do, and I'll be happy to quickly give you the backstory on that.
Yeah.
So I have had the good fortune to know Damon Lindelof over 20 years.
Okay, he's a good
in 2004, shortly after they'd completed shooting the pilot of Lost, but before it had aired on television or anything, I went over to Damon's house and I watched the whole 2-hour pilot. I said, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, this is the greatest show I've ever seen. And whose neck do I have to step on to get to be on the show in any capacity? Mm-hmm. And at one point, I think in season 3 or 4, they did write a whole Sawyer backstory line, a flashback line that he'd written for me. And he showed it to me and I read it and it was fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. And the problem was it was poker related because that's how I knew Damon was from a home poker game.
My God, the poker games. Oh, I forgot about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so Damon wrote this poker storyline of like a crooked poker game where Sawyer and his buddies, screw over this dumb rich kid. And that was going to be me. And the network put the kibosh on it. So that didn't come to fruition. And then, I got busy and other things happened. And then they were heading into the last season. And I was like, Damon, buddy, like, I have no ego about this. Like, I'll be background. I don't care. Like, it's just, I never get to be on shows that I watch and love.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on shows and some of them are really good shows. I'm not shitting on them. I'm just saying, like, they're not shows that I just watch as a fan. Right. This one, I love every episode of this show you've ever done, and I never get to be on stuff that I love like that. Is there anything? And so he, got back to me. He was like, yeah, I got something. It's little, like, and I was like, but I don't even care. You don't even have to tell me what it is. I'm there. And so I'm on a plane to Hawaii like a day later. Mm-hmm. And so, but here's how much of a fan of the show I was. So my character is in a sideways world.
Okay, right.
Will this make sense to me at some point?
It will not. It will make sense to you in about 9 years when you get to those episodes.
When you get to the last season.
Yeah.
So it's a sideways world, and I was watching the show as it aired on TV, and so my character, I'm just a clerk at a Mr. Cluck's fast food restaurant. So I had super fun scenes with Jorge Garcia and Henry Lee Cusick. Yeah. They were in the scene.
Yeah.
And so, but here's the thing. So like my character, I'm behind a counter, serving food, slinging out food. I'm the manager of the thing. And I had a whole scene, a quick scene with Jorge where I'm like, oh, Mr. Reyes, what can I get for you, sir? My God. But then I have a second scene where I'm in the background. You never even see me, but you hear me because I have to call out an order number. And of course, it's order number 23. But If you know the
Again,
show, the
she
numbers.
doesn't.
Anyway, so here's my favorite part, though. So I'm in the background of this shot. I am in the way background, but I am standing behind this counter, and I'm supposed to like walk up to the counter at one point, and the only way I know my cue is where it comes up in the dialogue. But the dialogue in that scene is critical, information dialogue. There's a lot of info in the dialogue, and it's between Desmond and Hurley.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't want to know this dialogue. I don't want to read it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want spoilies. No spoilies for this mega fan. So I'm crouched down. I'm crouching down behind the counter, and there is a PA listening to the dialogue on their headset.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to, and I was like, can you just tap me when it's time for me to stand up and say order number 43? And then I'm going to come back, and I'm literally back behind the counter like this.
Oh my God.
And then they tap me and I get up and I say my dialogue.
This is a careful what you wish for story here, Sam. You don't want to spoil the final season of your favorite show by being on it.
And so I exactly.
Yeah,
I wanted to have my cake and eat it too, and so that one, I think it is one of, I don't know if it's the first time or one of the first times. I'd have to look it up honestly, but I remember when they sent me my contract.
Yeah,
I told them specifically, like, no, I'm unbilled. Do not give me credit because this is not a job. This is pure funsies.
That's cute.
So I received no on-camera credit or
did you get anything? Did you get to keep like a script from the episode? Did you like steal a candy bar from the...
I stole the hearts of
honey,
all the crew and no, I took no. The only thing that I have from that day, I took a bunch of photos of the set, and that set was impeccably well dressed. All the Mr. Cluck's stuff on there, so I have some great photos. And I did try to keep the shirt that said like Mr. Cluck's with my character name on it, and they were all over me.
Yeah, they were so terrified of things getting out.
They were so terrified of things getting. Yeah, like I remember, like the costume department like knocked on my door on my trailer, and they were like, "Oh, good, we caught you." I was like, "What do you mean you caught me? I walked into the trailer 4 seconds ago.
Yeah,
I haven't even had an opportunity."
We didn't know you were here.
No, like they knocked on the door. They didn't barge in, but like they were like, "Yeah, we need to make sure everything's here."
Jesus Christ!
Like no, because obviously people had stolen shit before. So they were not going to let that happen again, not in the final season.
Yeah,
and I get it.
It's difficult to explain to anybody who wasn't old enough at the time or wasn't there that Lost was a very big deal in a way that like things aren't big deals anymore. And
it was like Stranger Things.
Yeah, but more so.
Or
like
Succession.
Yeah, but more so because
but
it was on network
even bigger than
television. Everybody could watch it, right? Because it was
in an era when that was still the thing.
Still a thing. Yeah. Well, that's a great story.
Glad I asked. Not to shout out another podcast, but the reason why I started to watch Lost is because another podcast, a movie podcast I like called What Went Wrong, did I think maybe one or two. I think it was a 2-part episode, and they don't mean wrong in like a terrible way. They're just like what it's generally a thing that was like difficult to get made, or there was like a lot of unfortunate like things that happened, and so like Lost was one of those very crazy
a lot of DUIs,
and I'm sure your friend Damon will be able to speak to it because it was a pretty crazy experience. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna watch Lost. I don't know where I was when it was happening. Probably I didn't have a television at the time. Who knows what I was doing? But I'm gonna get into the discourse. So I hope Twitter's ready for some delayed reactions.
I'm sure we could find a good web ring for you of Lost fans. Anyone remember
GeoCities? Here I come.
There is still a pretty robust Lost fandom on Twitter. So I'm sure you'll find some people that you can be like, can I ask you? I just found out about the number 23 and why that matters. What do you guys?
I mean, that's my birthday, so I already know it's a very spiritual.
Well, that's where it comes from, Jen. You're going to find that out later. That it's all about your birthday.
I really thought it was that Jim Carrey movie, but if you're telling me it's my birthday, then I believe you, buddy. Okay.
All right. Let's go to the end. So we got 2 questions for you, real quickly, Sam, before we go. And those questions are as follows. Here we go. Ready? What is, and if you have one, your favorite motion picture from the year 1999. A busy year for you, I know, because you're watching Blast from the Past and doing Freaks and Geeks.
That's a really, really hard question.
I know it is.
As I'm sure you and your listeners well know.
Yep.
So now you're asking me my favorite.
Yeah.
Which is different from what I think is the best.
Yes. What is your favorite?
And that is, your favorite can be anything. There can never be judgment. If you say, what do you think the best movie of 99 is, that's very different. My favorite film of 1999 is probably The Matrix.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. You're not alone.
That's correct.
I had not had an experience like that in a movie theater in a long time.
Yeah.
And remembering watching that and being so blown the fuck away. That's a hell of a movie.
So do you have a ready? Because kind of sounds like you're locked and loaded for a best answer as well as your favorite answer. Okay, you're not.
I don't know. I think the best movie that year might be. It's probably. I don't know. American Beauty's pretty damn good, right?
Yeah. When was the last time you watched it?
No, you've got problems with it. Okay, very well.
It was good at the time.
All right, do we remember what was nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah.
American Beauty.
Yeah, it won all the Oscars.
What else were the nominees?
No.
Okay, I know Being John Malkovich is a fine.
There you go. That's a good one. That's
up there.
Malkovich.
I will say, so one of the things about this year is that the Best Picture nominees kind of sucked, and Magnolia was not nominated, and The Insider is the only one that was nominated and should have been. But like The Sixth Sense, that's good, right? Whatever.
Oh, The Sixth Sense might also be a good contender for the best.
Eyes Wide Shut was that. There's a lot of just like really big landmark movies that should have been nominated for the Oscar and weren't. And I would watch, if you haven't seen American Beauty in a while, I'd watch it again. Doesn't age very well.
Okay.
I don't know. You got the Spacey in there. You don't need to do that to yourself.
You got the great Thomas Newman score and the great cinematography, and it's beautiful to look at. But the Kevin Spacey of it all.
Okay.
Also.
All right. Well, I've not revisited that film in probably longer than I've not revisited Blast from the Past. But I would say thank you for reminding me, by the way, about The Insider, which is a spectacular film.
Sure is.
And of course, the movie they meant to give Russell Crowe his Oscar for.
You're the second person who's shouted that movie out. I can't wait to watch it for this.
You never saw The Insider?
No, was this something that's happening?
He plays Jeffrey Wigand.
Yes.
I'm a tobacco scientist. I don't know who the character is.
I do feel like this is Zoot Suit Ryan's father.
And you're telling me you're going to open a store just for Zoot Suits? What's wrong with you? I raised my boy better than this. Zoot Suits. I just want to sell Zoot Suits, Dad. That's my love. It's my passion. I like Zoot Suits. You know this about me when I was a kid. That's all I would draw.
Sam, I don't know
how. Draw my notebooks.
I don't know how busy you are.
Diners, I would draw Zoot Suits. Dad, come on, don't deny me my passion in life.
I don't know how busy you are right now, Sam, but if you're not currently working on the screenplay for Zoot Suit Ryan, please just get out.
Throw back a bottle of beer. That's the tagline. Zoot Suit Ryan, throw back a bottle of beer.
I want you to start writing this movie and I want Al Pacino to play Zoot Suit Ryan's dad. And
Ryan,
what are you doing?
Right,
what are you doing?
Ryan.
Last
throw
question.
Back a bottle of beer.
What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, A Clockwork Orange.
Easy. Easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Cubes. Kubi Cubes.
Kubi Cubes. Once again, you asked me my favorite movie, not what I think is the best movie. The answer to that, by the way, is The Godfather. But the reason A Clockwork Orange is my favorite film of all time is very similar to why I would say The Matrix was my favorite film in 99.
Yeah.
It is, I saw A Clockwork Orange, which those who've seen it know, I was 11 years old.
No, that's too young. That's too young.
That's way too young. That's a lot of people's experience with that motion picture.
I saw 2001 when I was 12, and that was too young. That's
too young.
Yeah,
but I was, in terms of what I was exposed to and what, like, it didn't melt my brain.
Yeah,
but it was just like I'd seen just enough that it didn't, absolutely cripple me. But what it did do was it completely changed the way I saw what movie making could be.
Yeah.
And it was so eye-opening to me about not just the stories, but the way they're told and the visuals and everything about that movie. It was there. That was the BC and AD of my cinema loving life was that viewing. And so for me, the movie itself, which I think is a spectacular film, but that's what I think of when I think of that movie, was the birth of me really learning about filmmaking and learning about the great movies and things like that. And it kickstarted the journey of the rest of my cinematic loving life. So that to me is why it's my favorite.
That was really beautiful.
That's good. That was good. Yes. Yeah. That was good. That was moving. I'm glad that's what you got out of it when you were 11, because that could go in other directions as well.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. Well, that and ultra-violence is super cool, bro.
Sure is. Okay. So, what you up to now? What should the people go watch and see and interact?
What should they watch?
Oh, they're going to give him social media. I was like, you don't need people to find
not social media. I'm talking like,
so here's the thing. I got stuff in the can, as they say, but nobody's told me when or where it's coming out or when they can see it. Yeah. So rather than guess or say the thing, which might not even come out for another year or two, how about this? I am on Cameo. And let me tell you what I'm doing over there.
Yep.
Okay,
Zoot Suit Ryan.
I'll do Zoot Suit Ryan all day and night on Cameo. Most of these people, you pay, some actor from your favorite show to wish happy birthday to your aunt, and that's fine. And they do it, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to put anybody down. But most of the time, it's just like, oh, hey, this is a message for Jolene. Stephanie wanted me to wish you a happy birthday, so I hope it's a great one. Thanks for being a fan. Goodbye. That's what the videos are, and people are paying through the nose for those videos. Yeah. I am a very reasonably priced video. To my knowledge, still at this point, I am the only Freaks and Geeks actor who was on Cameo. Mm-hmm. I know Busy has been on and off the app, but I don't believe she's on at present. So if you want a Freaks and Geeks actor, I'm literally your only choice. But beyond that I've cornered the market. My videos are almost a minimum of 4 minutes. Ooh, and I've gone upwards. I've gone upwards of 7-8 minutes on these videos. Okay. You are getting your fucking money's worth on my cameos. I do not half-ass it. I put work into these.
There's production value.
You will perform entire scenes of Blast from the Past as a one-man show on Cameo.
I do almost anything people ask of me that's not debasing. Yeah. But moreover, here's the thing. People just think, oh, happy anniversary, happy birthday, whatever. I will cover so much more than that.
Yeah.
Okay. I love this.
I will do bad news videos. People don't know how to break bad news.
Oh my God. Are you dumping people? Have you dumped someone?
I've not broken up with anyone. I've not broken up. I'm not going to get into what I've done as bad news, but one that is safe. Yeah, no. Here's a safe one. Someone had to quit their job and was going to a different job. And no, not the boss. But they didn't know how to tell. They didn't know how to tell their super close coworkers that I have to leave this job. It's like bummer news, and I can't break it to them. But I know they're all Freaks and Geeks fans. So if you do it, maybe it softens the blow.
That's lovely. I love it.
And my feedback on that was it was so well received, like it totally softened the blow. Thank you so much. I was like, happy to do it.
I love that though.
And that's also great. Apology videos.
Oh, that's
I have made tremendously terrible mistakes in my life, and I have apologized for most of them. And through my own terrible life choices and, trying to ask for forgiveness, I think I've gotten pretty good at giving genuine apologies. Yeah. Like I've really come to terms with contrition.
Yeah.
And I say, look, I'm a professional actor. You made a mistake. Come to me. I will help sell your contrition. I hope it's genuine, because that's how I'm going to sell it. But that's all I'm saying. I've done a number of those.
Okay.
And those have all gone very well.
I love that.
I think we've been on a full journey here, from Sam, angry 17-year-old, to Sam, professional apology guy, right?
Thank you.
Right?
I can't wait till you do the 4-minute cameo for a funeral I have to. And today I thank you for letting me say something. And then I'll pull up my phone and pull the microphone next to the phone and go, okay, play.
Sam
and I'll say everyone who knew Marshall knew.
And I loved
that there was only one thing he truly loved in this life.
I'm just doing this.
And that was Zoot Suits.
Ryan may not be with us in body, but he is with us in Zoot Suit.
Right. And I think we all know he was buried in a spectacular 3-piece Zoot Suit.
That's correct.
Take it away, Ryan.
Now it's time to throw back a bottle of beer and make it something disappear. I forget how it goes. All right. On that note, thank you very much, Sam. Lovely to have you. Tons of fun, and we'll have to have you back sometime. Do a different movie.
This has been my pleasure. I mean, after this, people are going to insist that Zoot Suit Ryan comes back.
Oh my God, I can't stop laughing about Zoot Suit Ryan. I simply cannot.
Can I tell you something? I have my ex girlfriend.
Take forever
I used to do that. I used to do that bit nonstop in the car. Anytime that song would come on, like Sirius XM, I would be Zoot Suit Ryan for like 20 minutes. Or she fucking at first she loved it and then she fucking hated it.
I'm sorry. That's how you know she's not the one for you. I bet your wife. Have you done it for your wife? I
have done it for my wife and she enjoys it.
She still loves it. That's what I'm saying. That's how you know she's the one.
Ryan.
She's the one. She's never gonna get sick of Zoot Suit Ryan.
All right, I need to take us out.
Okay.
We'll be back in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna say this, that I should have hired famous blurb writer Ben Holmes to write this tease for me, because in 2 weeks we are going to be covering Forces of Nature with Ben Affleck and Sandra Bullock. So we will see you then. Find us on the social medias at 1999 Podcast. Email us at 1999@cageclub.me. Check out other shows at cageclub.me. And until next time, thank you, Sam. This was a blast. Thanks, Jennifer.
From the past.
From the past, and look out for frogs, everybody.
Ryan, throw back a bottle of beer. Zoot Suit Ryan.